Good morning. We have everyone here, so we're going to get started. It's 8:53. Thank you, everyone, for being prompt today. Good morning again. My name is Samantha James Perez, and I'm the president of the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. Welcome to our board meeting. This meeting is being held on Thursday, February 9th, 2017 at the DoubleTree Hotel, San Diego, 1646 Front Street in the city of San Diego, California. I would like to call this meeting to order. I also welcome the students who are in attendance and the schools who are watching the meeting online. We will not announce the individual schools who are joining us today, but we welcome you and we thank you for your presence. I'd like to start a roll call of the board, starting on my far left. If you could introduce yourself.
I'm on the left. Good morning. John Deerking, public member.
Donna Norton, LVN member.
John Vertito, LVN nursing educator.
Good morning, Andrew Moreno, Board Vice President and Public Member.
Samantha James Perez, Psych Tech member and Board President.
Good morning, Tammy Endozo, LVN member.
Good morning, everyone. Bernice Baste Martinez, Public Member.
Good morning, I'm Todd DeBronstein. I am a Psychiatric Technician member.
And let the record reflect that we do have quorum. At this time, I would like to go to agenda item number 13, the Pledge of Allegiance. We invite you to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I would ask my fellow board member, Donna Norton, and veteran to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Norton. That takes us to the next agenda item, which is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. At this time, I will take public comment for items not on the agenda. Under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, the board may not take action on any issues raised by the public during public comment that are not on the agenda, other than to decide whether to schedule that issue for a future meeting. If anyone wishes to address the board, please come forward to the desk, and if you wish, you may give your name and the name of your organization that you represent, so the board can have a record of all those who appear, or you may choose to remain anonymous, as a person wishing to provide general comment is not required to identify themselves when making public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, I don't see anyone coming forward. The purpose of the meetings today is to hear petitions for modification of probation or for reinstatement of licenses that have been revoked by the board. These proceedings are a serious matter and proper decorum must be maintained. Please take a moment right now, check your phones please, to ensure that your phones are turned off or in silent mode. Also, please make sure you keep as quiet as possible during the hearings and that you refrain from making comments or any expressions of emotion, as these would disrupt the hearings. Your cooperation in keeping these proceedings orderly is appreciated. We do have a court reporter here, and we do have Administrative Law Judge Brill here, who will be presiding over the proceedings. So this is these are serious. This is official hearings, so I need the audience members to remain as quiet as possible during the proceedings. I will now turn the meeting over to Administrative Law Judge Brill to begin the hearings.
Good morning. I'm Administrative Law Judge Brill. I work for the Office of Administrative Hearings. I'm going to be presiding over the hearings today. And before we have the court reporter before we go on the record for the first proceeding, I'd like you to know we're going to go in. There's a board agenda. We're going to go in the order of the agenda. There are 6 proceedings. The first one will be the petition for modification of probation for Takesha Weatherspoon. So, Ms. Weatherspoon, you can come up and take a seat and settle yourself in at the table. Good morning. And what we'll do in each of these cases is that the deputy, I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to have the Deputy Attorney General make his appearance. We'll have the petitioner make his or her appearance. And then the Deputy Attorney General will present, he'll go first, and he will present the exhibits and he will present the Attorney General's position. Then it will be the petitioner's turn, and the petitioner, I'll swear you and allow you to give testimony. And then after you give your testimony, the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, let him ask questions if he has any, and then the board members, if they have any questions, they'll ask them. And if you have other witnesses you'd like to call, I'll swear them and let them provide testimony as well. Then your case will be submitted, and then we'll move on to the next petitioner. And after all the petitions have been heard, then we will go into closed session, and the board will decide how to handle each of the petitions, and you'll receive written decisions on those. Okay? So why don't we go on the record for the first hearing? You ready, Ms.? We have Fabian's a court reporter to the side there. One thing to keep in mind, sometimes people start talking at the same time. She can't take that down. We want her to be able to get a really good record of your petition hearings. All right, so let's go on the record. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for modification or early termination of probation of Takesha Santon Weatherspoon, its Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2017011084. I am Administrative Law Judge Teresa Brell of the Office of Administrative Hearings. A quorum of the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians is present. Why don't we have the appearances first for the Attorney General's office?
Your Honor, Lauro A. Paredes, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the State of California, pursuant to Business and Professions Code Section 2760.1 and Government Code Section 11522.
And the petitioner, would you state your name?
Takesha Santon Weatherspoon.
And did we spell is your name spelled correctly on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Paredes, you ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
I have the notebook that you gave me with the exhibits.
Your Honor, what you have before you, and I believe the board members have before it, are the petition for modification, early termination probation packet for Ms. Weatherspoon. It consists of a number of documents and sub-tabs, which I can go over. But at this point, the cover page kind of goes through them. So it's just the second page in your booklet. If you haven't, at this point, we would ask all these documents to be moved into evidence.
Okay, let me mark them real quick here. I'm marking as, Exhibit A is the petitioner probation report. Exhibit B is the petition for modification of probation. Exhibit C is the license certification. Exhibit D is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. Exhibit E is the quarterly reports and work performance evaluations. Exhibit F is the probation education course certificate. G is probation correspondence. H is the 2010 board decision. And I is the 2015 board decision.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Paredes, one thing I noticed that I just wanted to clarify for the record, behind the divider for H, your documents that are the 2010 decision, they all have stickers at the top that say D1 through D10. Should it be H?
It should, Your Honor. I think those were D in a previous
Okay.
hearing in a previous setting.
All right, I'm gonna change the D to an H so the record's clear. Now, Ms. Weatherspoon, do you have any objection to us receiving exhibits 1 through A through I?
No.
Okay, exhibits A through I are received. All right, Mr. Paredes.
Your Honor, the board may be familiar with this case. Respondent was originally, license was originally revoked in July of 2010. After a set period of time, she came before the board, and a petition for reinstatement was granted in April of 2015. The original charges in this case were fairly serious. In 2007, respondent, the petitioner, was convicted of assault with a deadly weapon, 245A, stemming from an argument between her and another parent over treatment of petitioner's child. There was an older 1995 case, which is more for disciplinary consideration. Even at the time, it was old, and that was a criminal conviction for forgery in 1995. Respondent, from all the evidence we have, has been cooperating and relatively successful during the terms of her probation, but she comes before the board seeking modification of her probation terms. With that, we rest subject to cross-examination.
Okay. Now, Ms. Weatherspoon, would you please raise your right hand? Yes. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
I swear.
Okay. Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, yes.
I just want to make sure everyone can hear you.
Okay.
Now, ma'am, what would you like the board to know?
Okay, I originally submitted for modification for early termination of probation, but after talking to Rebecca Anderson, she said that it was a little too soon for early termination, so I was asking for the modification within one of the stipulations for the probation, which is the employment part. Since the license is current, but I have a secondary status of that is revoked state on probation. It's been difficult to find employment, and I can't go into registry nor home health, and it's been really hard to find part-time or even full-time work with having the secondary status on me. So I was asking, could that be modified and not be part of the requirement for the probation, since I didn't have to take the test over. I was still within the time frame to just submit the fee in order to get the license reinstated after it was approved. And I've taken continuing education units. I still have some that's due this year in May of 2017. And you just, I'm sorry.
Can you speak into the mic, because
yes,
that would help everyone hear you a lot better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Even just a little bit closer.
A little closer. That's fine.
Yeah, it's important. You want the board members to hear what you have to say.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So what I'm asking for is I'm currently unemployed in the healthcare field and just unemployed generally, and it's been hard to find work in the nursing field since I cannot work in registry nor home health, because that's more immediate, and it's been really difficult finding employment in part-time or even full-time work. And I'm just asking the board to approve the modification for the 6-month employment part, which is due by this year in November.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it. It's not early termination, it's just that part of the modification.
Okay. And, all right, Mr. Paredes, any questions?
I do, Your Honor. May I approach the witness for a moment?
Sure.
I'm asking questions about this, okay?
Yes.
And if I could turn the court and the board to the petitioner's packet near the very end. So it's the last tab, and it's the page 5. So it's probably the 4th or 5th page from the end.
Is that in Exhibit I?
It's in Exhibit I,
okay.
And it is the supervision and employment requirements. So it's specific language that petitioner is asking about.
I what? I-5?
Yes, I-5. And it has in bold both employment requirements and supervision requirements, Madam President. All right, Ms. Witherspoon, we're going to get there, but let's, how long have you been on probation?
It's been almost 2 years now.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on it? How's it going?
So far, I'm in compliance, and it's been going okay. I have been seeking to look for employment. I've searched hundreds of places, but I just haven't been able to find employment in the healthcare field.
What employment in the healthcare field over the last 2 years have you been able to do? What?
Everything that I've went through, med surg, I've done pediatrics, psychiatric nursing. I've even done ICU and telemetry as a nurse,
Okay.
and I just haven't been able to find anything.
Okay, but what work experience do you have in the last 2 years, if any?
None in the healthcare
Nothing in the
field.
healthcare field. Okay. And what would you like to do if you had your choice?
Med surg.
Okay. Have you done that previously?
Yes, as a license when I was.
Before your license was originally revoked?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you like med surg?
It's more working with adults, and it's more what I'm familiar with as a license.
Okay. Going back, you had this original conviction, which is pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean yes, ma'am?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What rehabilitation steps, I know you've gone over this before, but what rehabilitation have you done since then? Did you take any classes?
I've taken anger management, and I've taken one-on-one counseling several different times, and I've submitted that type of information to the board. As far as just rehabilitation, just staying out of trouble, staying focused, and being more aware of my surroundings and anger issues, any problems that
Did you
come
get
up.
anything out of your anger management classes?
I got a lot out of the anger management class.
Like what?
The teacher taught me personally about just like a 6-second rule when you're having a confrontation with someone and you don't like what they're saying. You know, just take a few seconds out to just really think about your surroundings and what's going on, and to calm down.
Okay. As an LVN, you could potentially be dealing with patients who are drunk, patients who are high, patients who are combative.
Yes.
Okay. How do you think you would react if a patient called you names, tried to strike you, spit at you? I mean, those are things that could potentially happen.
Yes.
Okay. How do you think you would react to that?
First, I would just let the patient know that I am a licensed nurse. I'm experienced in assaultive behavior, and I've had issues with I've had past issues dealing with people who are angry and under the influence, and
Past issues or past experience?
past experience and issues I'm personally aware of it, so I will be able to empathize, sympathize, whatever going on with the patient, and just ask them to calm down and check any type of medication issues that the person may be going through, because sometimes when someone is going through, they're drunk, they may be going through delirium situations that arise with those type of issues. So you just check medication orders and just try to calm the patient down as well.
So you don't think you would meet kind of hostility with more hostility?
No, I don't try to meet hostility with more hostility. It's not gonna, that'll clash.
All right, now let me turn you to those documents I gave you. So I am looking at section I, bottom number 5. So the very bottom there, it says supervision requirements. So you would like to be able to do both either home health care or registry work, is that correct?
Well, I can't do
right.
either, but I've had experience working in registry where I was sent out to different hospitals. With this employment part, you have to be at one facility, and with registry or home health, you get sent out to different places. So I wouldn't be within the criteria if I worked under registry or home health.
All right, and the employment requirements and limitations, you have not been able to do the 20 hours because you haven't been able to find work, is that
right?
Correct? Okay. All right. At this time, I have no further questions.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions? Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do remember you from before when you were here, and I can honestly say that I hope things would have turned out different for you. I hope when you came before us again that you weren't in this situation. So I'm wondering about finding a job. So when you go for a job, you have to tell them you're on probation.
Yes.
Now, you also have the felony conviction. Is that still on your record? Because I see it's expunged, but do you still have to report it to employers?
It depends on their application. Sometimes they want it, sometimes they don't, but they do ask why'd your license get revoked, and I do summarize the information. I don't think it's more of the past experience because it's been expunged. It's just that what's current now, the license, I have that stipulation of contact going back and forth with the board before I can accept work.
So you think that, because it is hard also to find a job with a felony on your record.
Yes, it is.
So it could be sort of a double strike against you.
Right.
But you're confirming it has been expunged. That means it doesn't show up on your record, or it does still?
No, it has been expunged. Okay. I've gotten fingerprinted, but I'm not sure how, when it's being read, how, they look at it.
And then, if I remember your story correctly, the deadly weapon was a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you hit. And then the woman who you hit actually stabbed you later.
Yeah, yes, she did, in a store.
Where are you living right now?
I currently live at Union Rescue Mission in the shelter downtown on Skid Row. And
that was the same as you were before when you came before? So you're still in the shelter?
Yeah, I was in a shelter, but I was in a different place.
Okay. And then I noticed in your petition for modification of probation, you talked a lot about diversion and the diversion program.
Yes, when I took the Anderson continuing education requirement, the units, it had some information about the employment section. When you get your license back, what happens and stuff, that you have to have 6 months experience working back in the nursing field.
But I wanted you to know diversion is totally different than what the probation that you're on.
Okay.
So it's apples and oranges in a way.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out the job situation. Have you applied to many places?
Hundreds of places.
Hundreds. So basically what you're asking us for is just to loosen the terms. In my packet, it's actually on H5.
Yeah.
It says, petitioner shall not work for a nurse's registry or in any private duty position, a temporary nurse placement agency. That's what you want loosened.
Right.
Basically removed.
If I worked in registry, then I've been able to get accepted immediately in the nursing field. But with the issue, I have to contact the board before I can take the work, and then it leaves.
So you're fairly certain you could get a registry job?
I'm pretty sure I could get a registry job.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So that Mr. Vertito?
Vertito, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Weatherspoon, when you said you've applied to hundreds of jobs, was it in person, or what was the method of application?
I've done some in person, and I've done a lot online, and I've gotten a lot of callbacks from with interviews to discuss potential employment. And I do allow the person to know immediately that the license is on probation, and I have to contact the board before accepting employment, because every time I get a response, someone's ready to just send me out to do something with, if it's home health or if it's registry. But as far as the other type of work, just like a part-time going into a facility, that's been a little more different experience.
Okay, so in other words, you're telling us that you've been able to secure a job offer for registry or home health,
Right.
but you've been unable to get a specific job in one particular facility.
Yes, because with the probation, the way it's been told to me, you have to go to only one place.
Correct.
When you work with the 6 months, 20-hour,
Yes.
you can't get sent out to different types of places. In every registry home health, they send you to different places. And in the hospital part, you can't be part of the float pool. You have to be on one unit.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. DeBronstein? Is that right?
It's okay. Some of my previous questions were asked by other members, but
Okay.
I'm going to throw some stuff out to you and just tell me if you're familiar with it.
Okay.
And if you need me to explain any, just ask. Are you familiar with courses like TSI, MAB, CPI, or ART?
No.
Okay.
Just coursework?
They're classes related to like crisis prevention, therapeutic strategies and interventions.
Oh, no.
management of assaultive behavior.
MOB, I have the MAB, the malassaultive
Okay.
behavior. That's it.
When would you say is the last time you've taken a course like that?
It's been a while. It would be when I had the license before it was revoked. I've only taken, since I've had the license reinstated, the remedial coursework.
Okay. And then if you were to get a job with a registry, would they require courses like that? Or is it incumbent on the facility you're going to work for? Similar to like a CPR card, you kind of need to have that.
Yeah, you
before
have to have
going
a-
into a facility.
Yeah, you don't have to have the coursework you're describing,
Okay.
not the CPR card, but the other type of work.
Right.
They're willing to accept you as is, but just as long as the license is current and you don't have any issues on the license.
Okay, so a registry hasn't asked you for a course like this?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, Attorney, did you need to make any statements, Mr.
No, Your Honor.
Paredes? Anything else you'd like to add, ma'am?
That's it, ma'am.
All right, well then, this hearing is concluded. The case is submitted, and let's
Okay.
go off the record. Fabian, do you need the form now? No, you get them later? Okay. All right, so the next, before we go back on the record, the next petition we're going to hear is for Nina Brown. Yes. Can you get her information and maybe email it to her or send it to her later? 'Cause I'm- Fabian, are you ready to go back on? Or? All right. You ready, Ms. Brown?
Good morning, yes.
Okay, so let's go back on the record. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of license of Nina Christine Brown. This is Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2017011102. This matter is being heard before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians on February 9 of 2017 in San Diego, California. I'm Administrative Law Judge Teresa Burrell. I work for the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I will be presiding over the hearing on behalf of the board. We have a quorum of the board present. And why don't we have appearances first with the Deputy Attorney General?
Your Honor, Lauro A. Paredes with the Attorney General's Office.
All right, and Petitioner, could you please state your name?
Nina Christine Brown.
All right. And we might be reminding you to speak up again as well, okay?
Sure.
All right, Mr. Paredes, are you ready to present the exhibits?
We are, Your Honor. Your Honor, what the board has before it, I believe in the court as well, is the petition for reinstatement of license packet for Nina Christine Brown. It consists of a cover page and a table of contents, and the table of contents lists sections A through E, which we would like entered into evidence as A through E, if it pleases the court.
Okay, I'm marking as exhibit A, petition for reinstatement. B is the license certification. C is miscellaneous correspondence. D is the 2010 board decision. And E is the 2008 board decision. Mr. Paredes, inside my binder, there's a sheet that looks like this. This is yours. Do you need it? Okay. Now, Ms. Brown, do you have any objection to me, to the board receiving exhibits A through E?
No, not at all.
Okay, exhibits A through E are received. All right, Mr. Paredes?
Your Honor, respondent comes before the board in 2006. Let me take a step back. A statement of issues was filed in 2007 at the time that she originally applied for licensure. The grounds for that were fairly serious and over a long period of time, beginning with a check fraud conviction in 1989, a series of driving on a suspended license or uninsured negative contacts with law enforcement, basically. She was put under a stipulated settlement. She was granted her licensure with the standard 3 years probation terms. While on probation, she was convicted of a serious federal offense in 2009 of aiding and abetting in the trafficking of individuals across the immigration line, the border in Texas. Pursuant to that, a default decision was, petition to revoke / accusation was filed. There was no notice of defense. Respondent was summarily defaulted by the board, and her license was revoked in December of 2010. This should be the first time that she comes before the board seeking reinstatement of her license. Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I ask that question to Mr. Paredes? Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Paredes, I just actually have a question for you. In my own note, I heard you say there were the violations in the 1980s of check bouncing, but I'm also showing an 88 convicted of carrying a loaded firearm in public, possession of cocaine, and grand theft. Those are also?
Those are older than the 89, so I went back. There were a number of serious violations, and so I can go over them in detail. They are listed in the statement of issues, and I can go over them, but
Thank you.
Giving background.
I just want to make sure it was accurate.
No, it was, and those reflect in the statement of issues, and in the stipulated settlement, when respondent received her license, there's a admission section, and in the culpability section, it says that respondent admits to the truth of each and every charge and allegation in the statement of issues, which includes those charges. So those charges are not a question before the board. They basically are a legal fact at this point.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
And subject to questions, no.
All right, Ms. Brown, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ms. Brown, what would you like the board to know?
In the initial charges that the gentleman just spoke of, it says in the docket that the charge for cocaine was actually omitted because it was not me. It was a typo in the doc, and it says it in the doc that I was not charged with that. That was another person. And as far as the charges go, they were in 88. I applied for my license in 06. After attending school, I had an attorney go to court for me to fight in court for a year for my license. And once I did do that, then the probation was granted with a very high stipulation. I accepted it for the fact that I had fought for it, so I did accept it. And in the matter of the charge that was actually not considered a severe charge for having the illegal immigrants, it was actually deemed a petty offense in the state of Texas because it actually turned out to be nothing more than a traffic violation. because in the docs, it says that I was unaware that these people were undocumented. I did not take them across the border. I did not pick them up. It was, I have the document from the attorney saying that I was misled. I did not know these people did not have proper documentation. So my charges weren't a severe charge. It was a petty charge.
But would you like to tell the board anything about any changes you've made in your life since your license was revoked in December of 2010?
Definitely. After my nursing license was revoked, I was heartbroken. And so I turned to something that I thought would make me feel whole again. I went back to school. I became a dog groomer, and 'cause I adore dogs. And so I studied professionally. I worked professionally as a dog groomer. I then opened my own dog grooming salon in my community to help my community. And after that not being successful, I went back to school again and to study as a medical billing coder. And while in school, I realized that I was still a good nurse. I still had nursing in me. I still felt that that was my calling. And so that's why I'm back here. I have been a nurse most of my entire life. I've raised medically fragile children, my own. I've taken care of my ill parents to their deaths until I was 17. I've been a nurse. I know nursing. This is what I'm good at. And I felt that after completing my medical coding course, having my nursing license would be an asset to my coding career. It brings me in with the knowledge that I am a nurse, that I do know how to be a good nurse. And as far as a coder, it shows me as a coder knowing my field, knowing from both sides, knowing how to read a document, pull out all the pertinent information, because I know the information, because I've done it hands-on. So that's why I feel I'm here today.
Anything else you'd like to add, ma'am?
No.
Mr. Paredes, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Your Honor. All right, ma'am. So from the records I have, it looks like you were granted your license in May of 2008. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes.
Okay. And then the license was revoked in December of 2010, just about. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. In that time, what was your employment? Did you work as an LVN?
Yes.
Okay. Where, doing what kind of things?
I worked in a mental facility because that's where I had been working in my field prior to going to nursing school, in a hospital, in a psych unit. So I went into another psych unit where my skill set was high. I was actually brought into that facility by doctors at the hospital where I previously worked as a team member in this facility.
What were your duties and responsibilities at that time?
As a LVN in the facility, I started off at MDS. And then when they became short, I went on the floor and became a med nurse.
Okay. All right. What happened in Del Rio, Texas?
In Del Rio, Texas, I went to purchase dogs. And in speaking, someone asked me, they had family members that were coming from Texas. Would I give them a ride? And I'm like, okay, on my way back, I would stop and pick them up. And that's what I did. And mistakenly, us having a good conversation, I made a wrong turn and went to the border.
Okay, so you're on the American side at this
Yes, point. Yes, I'm the stupid person, yes.
Okay.
I'm driving through Texas. I don't pay attention, we're talking, and I crossed the border. But
So you crossed the border from the United States into Mexico by accident?
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened?
What saved me was that I paid a toll, and the toll took a picture of me, and it showed that I had these two people in the car in Texas prior to crossing the border. That's what lessen my charge down to just having persons without documentation, because I did not bring them from Mexico into America.
All right, so let's go back at that point. So now you turn around while you're in Mexico, you're going back to the United States at this
Right.
point. You get stopped.
No, we just made a U-turn.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you get stopped by customs or ICE at that point.
Right.
What happens from there?
They ask for documents, I present mine, they present theirs. Theirs are fraudulent. And we're arrested at that point.
Okay. What happened from there? So you were arrested. How long were you detained? What happened there?
Oh, this was a very terrible situation. I got moved 5 times within 30 days. That's their system, that you go from place to place. At one point, I was on a list to be deported to Mexico because I was in the realm of people that crossed the border. I happened to be the only non-Spanish speaking person there, and they just assumed that I had been one of those persons that ran across the border. One night, I was actually woken up to be deported. And luckily, another person in there spoke English and said, no, she's not to be deported. But they were speaking Spanish. I had no idea what they were saying. I knew I was just about to be shoveled off.
So how much did you spend? So you just spend 30 days or so in custody at that
Yes, with no one, not even an attorney seen, because they kept moving me from place to place.
Okay.
Finally, one of my relatives found my attorney. They investigated to find where I was, and then I finally met with the attorney, and he honestly said, did you know these people did not have proper documentation? I'm like, no, sir, how would I know that? Someone tells you they have documentation, they show you an ID. I don't know fake from not. And he says, okay, and that's how he proved it, because he found the video that showed these people were in the car with her before she entered Mexico.
And so did you go, you at some point you pled guilty. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, I pled guilty to having people in the car that had misled me. That's what the charge says, under misleading information.
Okay. And then what happened after you pled guilty?
I was released.
You were released. Okay, did you do formal or informal probation of any kind?
None.
Okay. All right. Let's go over, so you had a long history, so you, from 2009 to for about 10, 15 years, you didn't have any trouble at all before this Del Rio, Texas thing?
No.
Okay, but then before that, you'd had a number of run-ins, correct? With the law?
Minor.
Okay, well,
Fixed the tickets. Prior to 88, I had been in no trouble. I mean, after 88, there had been no incidents other than fixed it tickets.
okay, so what happened, say, prior to 1988, 89?
89, 88, 87, 89, I went on a shopping spree.
Okay, tell me about that.
I wrote multiple checks, and within that time, my checking account was closed for multiple insufficient fund checks.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was arrested, and I paid full restitution for all of the checks that had been written.
How old were you in 1987 to 1989?
25.
Okay. When you were writing those checks, you knew that you had insufficient funds.
Not particularly at the moment. I had a sufficient amount. I just got a little carried away.
Okay. So at no point did you knowingly write bad checks to try and get stuff that you didn't have money for?
No, not intentionally, no. Once the checks became, what occurred with the situation is that one particular store I had wrote checks to, then another store found out, and then they turned it into a case. The first initial place I had written checks to, my account had not been closed. Not until after the fact did the account get closed, with the second party decided to make it into a criminal case.
Okay. So one was Nordstrom, and then for a couple $100, and then there's a charge here having a weapon.
That is a charge that I do not remember. They say it's there, but I have no recollection of it
Okay.
at all. I've went since then to the court to get more information on these cases. They no longer have these cases. They've been purged from the files.
Okay, so you have no recollection of carrying a firearm of any kind in the late 80s?
No.
You touched on it briefly, but tell me again, tell me in detail, why do you want to, what areas would you like to work in? And specifically, why do you want to continue to be at LVN?
My areas of expertise is psych.
Okay.
I have worked psych in a mental unit. I was a unit coordinator. I am very versed on the laws of psych, and that is my field of expertise. I would like to go into it. I understand the disease of mental health. I also am very well skilled in pediatric care of infants with multiple disabilities. I have 22 years of training in that.
Okay.
So I am a good in-house immediate responder to emergency situation type of nurse.
All right. Have you taken any nursing classes since your license was revoked?
Well, I just completed the billing and coding course, which started off with a course in medical terminology and anatomy, then took me into the coding systems for billing, medical transcription, medical data entry, electronic filing. So I'm very versed in all hospital operations, as well as being reiterated.
Have you done any patient care type classes in the last 7 or 8 years?
No patient care classes, but I do have a disabled son that I do have to do medical care too.
Okay, what kind of medical, without getting too personal, but what kind of medical care do you usually have to do?
My son is, he's paralyzed from his entire right side. And so he needs additional care with bathing, monitoring, his daily care needs, his ADLs, to keep aware of that. And he is an adult, so that does require additional monitoring because he does have to have some independence. But again, I have to monitor that. So I have to do daily care for him. And I also deliver puppies.
Okay. Do you have a breed that you like?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Shih Tzus and Maltese. I'm known for it.
Okay. I understood your story about what happened in Texas. I'm going to give you another. I'd like a little more detail. I'm going to ask you why specifically. You got these convictions in the 80s, and the way that the convictions read in the statement of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm looking at, please, the court, this is the last exhibit.
Is it E?
Yes, and it is at the bottom it says page 7.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So on January 28th, 1988, you violated Penal Code Section 476, not sufficient shuns. So you're saying that one you didn't know that you were doing it at the time, it was a mistake.
Right, because it didn't, at the time I wrote the check, the check, there were funds, but not enough to cover the check.
Okay. So then in March 15th, the next one, so I'm going up to H now, line 11, it's a violation of Penal Code Section 1203.1, carrying a loaded firearm in public. You're telling me you have no recollection of that?
I have no recollection of that.
The March 30th, 1988, so this is 2 months after the January conviction for, after you did the check fraud in January. This is another non-sufficient chunks. That was also a mistake. You have no recollection
No,
of that?
that was the second charge based on the first case. The one for March 30th in 88, those checks were all written at the same time. What happened is that once the other entity found that I had now had a case for insufficient funds, they filed a case. It's all within the same time period. It wasn't that I did it months later.
Okay.
This was all written at the same time.
So this is, it looks like in early January, in late January, those checks were written, it looks like. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
they were all written at the same time, but when the other plaintiff found out about them is when they filed the charge on the same amount of checks, on the same time period. It wasn't that it was done after the fact.
Okay.
Because I was already in jail at that time when this second charge was ordered.
So these were checks that were primarily written in January of that year, is that what
Yes.
you're saying? Okay. All right. In the 2002, 2003, 2006, there's some driving issues. What were those about?
Driving without registration,
Driving without a license.
without a license, not knowing that it had been suspended.
Okay. I'm sensing a theme throughout this, which is that you didn't know about the insufficient funds, you didn't know about the weapon, you didn't know that your license was expired, and then the Texas thing where you didn't know about these people. Like, it's a string of very bad luck. Is there anything other than bad luck that you attribute that to?
No, sir. I can actually say most of my history has been based on bad luck, not just the factor that I make bad judgment calls, but I fought for pretty much everything I've had to do. My sons were born premature at 26 weeks. That was a fight, to bring my sons to adulthood without additional services from the state, to grow and raise 2 children. I've had a lot of fights along the way. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. But that does not say that I am not capable.
Okay.
Mistakes are part of life. Bad calls are part of life. What you learn from your mistakes is what's most important. Yes, I've made a lot of bad decisions, lots of bad judgments, but that does not say I'm not capable of being a good nurse.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Brown? Before I have the board, see if the board has any questions?
Well, I was also hoping in the decision of the board, I am willing to take the test to regain my license. But I was also wondering if my courses taken recently, as a recent graduate of the medical coding, would have any weight toward me not having to take that test, because I do hope to take my medical coding test as well at the same time. But again, I'm willing, and I was also hoping that these charges, if the board does find in favor to allow me to retake my test and have my license reinstated or giving a new license, that this old documentation is removed, because going into a job interview or even getting to the point of a job interview, the first thing a company does is run your license. And for them to see all this negativity when you have 3 other candidates, why take the time with this person? Even though it is very long, it's a long, very old stuff, but this is on the website. Anyone, any public person can see this, but you can't go into a court and find this information. And I find it very unjust to me, because I went to the court to try to pull these documents. They do no longer exist. The only knowledge of this is what the state board has. I would really hope that this will be removed if I was able to have a new license, if I passed the test. Could this not hold me back from having a successful career?
Okay, anything else you'd like to state before the board asks you any questions if they have any?
No, that's it.
All right, does anyone have any questions? All right.
I do. Good morning. So I have, I know Mr. Paredes asked you about the driving violations, and you said that you weren't aware that your driver's license was suspended. Do you know why it became suspended?
When you have a ticket and you don't pay the ticket on time, they suspend your license.
Oh, so it was from a ticket that you had
It
received?
was like a fixed ticket, like for not having a registration. If you don't show up and you don't pay that fine, your license gets suspended. And that's what I found out. You forget, well, me, I forget certain things like that. I'm a single mom, I'm raising children, I'm going to work, I'm going to do a lot of things that may have slipped me in when you get pulled over and they tell you, oh, your license is suspended, you need to take care of that. Okay, you take care of it. But at the present time, no, I did not know it was suspended.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. So that was, there was a 2002 driving without a license, that was?
Yes.
No. And then again, the next year, it says the same thing.
It possibly could have happened again.
Again. And then in 2006, so 3 years later, it says, again, your license was still suspended? Or it was a different reason to be suspended?
I've not had any traffic accidents. I have a clean driving record. So most likely it would have been, again, for something as simple as a fix-it ticket. Maybe registration wasn't current in the vehicle I was driving, or maybe the tail light was out. Because a fix-it ticket does go against you if you don't pay it on time or if you don't show up in court on time.
Got you. And what's the status of your driver's license now?
I have a brand new clean driver's license as of my birthday last Thursday.
Great. And then one thing we haven't talked about is you were previously on probation with the board.
Yes.
Yes. So you were on probation, I believe it was a 3-year probation that
Yes.
started in 2008. And then in 2009 was the conviction in federal court in Texas. So the next,
After, yes.
you were still on the licensure probation. So the board moved to revoke your probation. And
Right.
then in 2010, that's when your license was revoked. But I noticed that it was a default. So that means that you never responded to the accusation of the board? So it was just defaulted revocation? Why didn't you respond to that?
I was, after fighting for my license in court for a year, and then to have it revoked so based on the fact that my reports weren't submitted timely, and that the notification of my termination of my job didn't reach the board in time, it would seem like another battle that I didn't choose to fight. I had just been fighting for so long. I'm like, I'm going to do something now that makes me feel a little bit better. This is not a fight I'm willing to fight now.
So you were on probation before and that didn't work out. Is there anything different in your life now that would allow you to be more successful if we gave you probation again?
Honestly, my probation was initially terminated not solely on the fact that I made the mistake in Texas, but to the fact that my probation, the quarterly reports weren't received timely, and that the change of employment wasn't received in a timely manner. I would not set myself up to be so easily dismissed if you were to give me probation again. I would not accept probation again, because that puts me at the mercy of someone else, at the mercy of mail, at the mercy of someone else's immediate just decision. I value my license, but seeing it as I accepted it the first time, and it was so easily just snatched without, for minimal things, in my perspective.
Right.
To put me on probation again, I feel is setting me up to fail again.
So what you would seek, what you're seeking then is to have your license back, an unrestricted license without probation?
If I took the test and passed the test, I would like my license back as a new person with no restrictions.
And if the board were to say, you know, we'd feel better if you were actually on probation for a little while, what would be your response?
It would be what the stipulations for my probation would be. How severe would they be that I had to submit quarterly reports? Would it be that it showed on my license that I had a restriction that would make it difficult for me to find employment? Then no, I would not accept that. If you gave me a probation and said, well, Ms. Brown, we'd like you to be on probation for a year and just maintain a job for X amount of time. But if I had to do any reports to check in or to notify, I would not accept that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I'll go ahead. Mr. Furtado.
Ms. Brown, you stated earlier that you're hoping that your medical coding class would be sufficient to justify not retaking the board. Is that correct?
I hope so.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Just for edification, does your medical coding class redo anything according to medications? Have any relation to medications?
Yes, we learn about medications.
In what degree?
In degree of medications giving for specific illnesses. As a coder, you have to justify the reason for the medication giving, prescription, because we are billing for the doctors. You have to understand the rationale for the medication, the side effects of a medication that's been given that may have caused some adverse reaction.
Okay, so it's all textbook, but nothing about the 6 rights, the 3 checks, the calculations on the dosage. Does it have anything to relate to those areas?
No, that's something I did learn in nursing school.
Okay, but in the class that you're hoping to apply in lieu of the NCLEX, you're hoping that that class would be sufficient. Is that correct?
Based on the fact that it gave me a sufficient enough for medical terminology and anatomy and physiology.
But nothing related to medication
That's the only
administration?
thing that, no, it did not get.
Okay. The second thing is, given your long history, relatively long history of problems, why should we give you a free and clear license?
Since my incident in 2010, I have progressed as a citizen. I have dedicated myself to community services. I've maintained employment. I've sought out other fields. I've continued education committedly since then. In my perspective, that shows that I'm dedicated, that I would commit to being a nurse again.
When you accepted your license the first time, it was probationary, correct?
Correct.
And you did agree to abide by all the rules established by the probation, correct?
Correct.
And you disregarded the those rules. You
No,
said,
I don't feel I disregarded those rules.
but you were non-compliant.
I was non-complying in them not being received on time.
But that was part of the rules.
Right, but that does not mean that I did it, with the intent to be non-compliant.
But wouldn't that take special effort on your part to make sure that you were compliant?
It takes special effort on my part. It also has, the paper had to be signed by staff that were not always available at the time. Then mail, things had to be mailed. At this point, if we were able to email those things in, then I would be more responsible, because then, yes, I would have the ability to have them submitted on time. But putting something in the mail, waiting on someone else to open it and to log it, I can't say that that was always partly my fault.
Okay. One last question. Given the past cases of what you've done before, insufficient funds, fraud, substance abuse,
No substance abuse.
controlled substance, multiple issues.
No, that's not correct. If you read it correctly, that said that was not me.
Okay, regardless, the cases that are present, one of the things they indicate is that there's a problem with integrity, personal integrity. How would we as a board be sure that you are a person that has a nursing level of high integrity? That we know that what you say, what you write, is in fact the truth to the best of your ability?
With my standing as an employee at my positions, as a nurse, and prior to being a nurse, my job term said that I was a dedicated person in an employee setting. As a nurse, and prior to being a nurse, in my school efforts, says that I was a dedicated person. I did well in school. In this last term of deciding to continue into another form of medical career, I again attended school. So that says that my level of commitment could also stand against my level of integrity because I continue to pursue this field.
Commitment, dedication are, while very good virtues, they're not integrity. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone on the board? I see-
Yes.
All right, so that would be Dr. Basta Martinez. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to just kind of make sure I'm understanding some of the things you said, so if you'll help me just a
Yes.
little bit. In your discussion about making some bad judgment calls and that you've had some tough times, could you talk to us about what you've learned from those mistakes and what makes that learning important now?
My learning, the mistakes helped me to find out who I am, who do I want to be. And I've matured. Those incidents happening in my my mid-20s, before most of them, I became a parent. Those things occurred. When I became a parent, my view of life changed. My awareness of the stability factor in my life that I had to maintain. I learned that this is what I have to do. I have responsibilities now. I've grown at 53 years old. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And those incidents is what helped me get to the point of being aware of myself, learning my surroundings, and learning how important it is to be who you are.
I also noted that on our record, the license that we were referring to expired in 2012.
Correct.
And it's 2017.
Mm-hmm.
How, if you had to take the exam, I want to make sure I'm clear, what are you willing to do to prepare yourself if you had to take the exam?
I'm willing to enroll in online courses. I've already started studying for taking test questions online. As I say, nursing is in me. I could do it. I did it in 2006, and I don't see a reason why there's nothing that could stop me from wanting to succeed. So whatever was necessary, aside from enrolling in a whole additional LVN course, something that I could not afford, but anything that I could, meaning online courses, or just to buy books and study videos and do practice tests, I've already started doing.
And one last thing. It's been some time since you've been employed in an actual medical support, an LVN environment.
Correct.
And there have been several questions regarding the clinical perspective, the actual working with patients. And we do understand your own family situation and the support you provided there. Certainly medical nursing support that continues.
Correct.
Who could speak to, because maybe I missed it, but I didn't notice any letters of reference or anyone else that spoke to the quality of that?
Of nursing care?
Yes. What could convince us that that quality carries over beyond your family?
There is a letter from a registered nurse that I have been in contact with, that I actually am her private dog groomer. And she wrote a letter to my caring nature, to my understanding. She is a client that followed me throughout my career as a groomer. And so she's also known my professionalism. And I didn't bring forth any of my former coworkers, which I could have, to attest for my nursing skill as I worked with these people, because it wasn't current. That's the only reason I did not bring forth. I brought forth people that had been in contact with me over these past 5 to 6 years. That's the only reason you didn't have any of that information, but there are several people that I could have called on to attest to what I did as a nurse, my commitment in a hospital setting, in a clinical setting, in a home health environment. I could have provided you, but that was back before my license was revoked.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board members? And Ms. Brown, I just wanted to clarify for the record, when you said there was a letter from a nurse, is it Deborah Robinson?
Yes.
Okay, and that's part of Exhibit A, so we have that. Anything else you'd like to add,
Short
Mr.
closing
Paredes?
/ summary, if I could, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay. As the board members well know, the board's primary purpose is protection of the public. The board's not here to punish someone, to make them relive past sins. It's protection of the public. That's the point of you guys being here. And as someone not in the medical field, I hold what you medical professionals as LVNs, as psych techs do in the highest regard, and I'm a little concerned. There's some disagreements between the record and petitioner. First, when petitioner started, she said she's been a nurse for her opening statement for years, for her whole life because of her training and everything else. The record says she's been a nurse for about 2 years. And being a caretaker and as someone who takes care of others is very, very valuable, but it's not nursing. It's a specific, you guys do a very specific skill set in a very specific place. And so I disagree with that characterization beginning there. Other disagreements in the characterization. Respondent, as petitioner testified about, she may have missed some because people didn't sign it on time, the mail didn't get there on time. It's not exactly what she was accused of. If you look at the record, section D, page 2, section 9, what it says is, this is the default statement, and defaults, as we all know, the evidence packet finds the charges and allegations in accusation, specific accusation, are separately and severally true and correct. So what's in the petition to revoke is correct. So what's the petition to revoke say? If you go to that, page 5 of that says exactly what she was accused of doing. It doesn't say she was late. It doesn't say they were in the mail and it had to get there by the 1st and it got there on the 5th. What it says is, page 5, section 16, respondent's probation is subject to revocation for failing to comply with probation condition 2 She failed to submit quarterly reports to the board for the following periods: October to December, 1 quarter; April to June, that's another quarter; July to September; January to March. So those aren't late. It doesn't say she was late. It says she failed to turn those in. It's a discrepancy in the record. The notification of employer change, and then the 17 and 18 talks about respondents subject to revocation for failure to notify the board in writing, failure to submit quarterly reports, respondent failed to submit work performance evaluations. Those are not anyone else's fault. Those aren't the mail's fault. Those are specific responsibilities that she had that she did not do while on probation. And a layman might look at this, somebody off the street might look and say, oh, some paperwork. Isn't that charting? Isn't that important? Paperwork's important. In my legal world, paperwork's important, but specifically in your medical world, charting's important, paperwork's important, attention to detail is important. Petitioner has either done some things that we would call moral turpitude, which is she's done some stuff that's untrustworthy, or she's had the really incredible string of bad luck. And that's for you guys to decide. But I'm always been of the idea that, you know, once is a fluke, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. Well, what do we have here? We have not one time where the blue and red lights came up behind her and she's in trouble because she forgot her license. Okay, good. That happens. Life is busy. 2, 3 different times. She has no recollection of a gun charge. Now, again, she's saying that it didn't happen. That's different. The stipulated settlement, a disagreement with the record. The record is what we have to go by, the written down stuff. The stipulated settlement that she signed says everything there is she admits to. That includes the gun charge. She doesn't remember that. I think it's something that's important. She doesn't remember any drug charges. She's got a number of check charges. And again, that goes to me as to a pattern. So respondent was caught in all these. What we haven't heard, and you are the judge of this, what I don't have heard is any genuine remorse. When we have individuals who say, I screwed up, I was in a really bad place, I did these bad things, and now I'm in this place and I'm not doing those bad things. That to me is a powerful indicator. And I think that lack of remorse is also shown in her request for a free and clear license. The board's primary responsibility is protection of the public. This goes with petitioner's idea that she's been a nurse her whole adult life. She's been a nurse for about 2 years, 7 years ago. Again, being in real admiration of what you guys do, the field changes. And I know that because, as you know, we see standard of care cases, and so I know the field changes. And I know that all the drug interactions change. I know that new drugs come on the market. I knew that new protocols are in place. There's a humility that needs to be put in there when you're going to be protecting the public, which we don't see. And this is a decision for the board, but I would ask you to keep in mind all of the discrepancies between what respondent's testimony is and what we know the record is. And to please keep in mind the board's primary responsibility. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Brown, anything else you'd like to add at this point?
Yes. In my opening statement of me being a nurse all my life, maybe that statement wasn't correct. I've been a caregiver with nursing responsibilities. Yes, I did not become an official nurse, but I had 2 twin sons with G-tubes and tracheostomies on ventilators. That is nursing care by any level. That is infection control, that is 24-hour feedings. Those are nursing responsibilities by anyone's standard, whether it be an LVN or RN. So I have had those years of experience. My remorse level is I'm not sitting here begging does not mean I'm not remorseful for the things I've done. It just means that I know the things I've done. There are 30 years plus into what has happened. So my remorse level that I may not show now does not mean at the time or throughout the time has not been there. My remorse was so severe that I chose not to fight for my license again. I needed to find myself back as a person to make me happy again. That is where my remorse sat, where I went into a whole new profession to find a happy place from the remorse that I suffered from having my license revoked from me. So in his statement to say I'm not showing the remorse, I've continued to try to better myself and find ways to continue to care, not just for people, but for animals as well. So my nature to nurture and care is there. Being a good nurse, that is the primary goal, I feel, as a nurse.
All right. Any other questions from the board members? I see none. All right, well, your case is submitted. This hearing is concluded, and you'll be getting a decision in the mail. Let's go off the record. And Ms. Brown, you can give information to the court reporter, and then she can send you some information on how you can get a transcript of this someday if you'd ever need it, okay?
Thank you.
How long of a break?
Thank you all.
All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and the next person up will be Rebecca Hurley. Your case will be the next one, all right?
Announce everyone to sit down?
Yeah. I think we're ready to go back on the record. Bobby, you ready? All right, let's go back on the record. The record is open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of license of Rebecca Ann Herlihy before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. This proceeding is being held on February 9 of 2017 in San Diego, California. I am Teresa, Administrative Law Judge Teresa Brell. I will be presiding over the hearing, which the board will be deciding. A quorum of the board is present. Let's have the appearances first from the Attorney General's office.
Your Honor, Lauro A. Paredes with the Attorney General's office.
And petitioner, would you please state your name?
Rebecca Ann Herlihy.
All right. Now, Mr. Paredes, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. What the court has before it, and board members do as well, is a copy of petition for reinstatement of license packet for Rebecca Ann Herlihy. And it consists of 4 tab sections, A through D. We would ask that those sections be introduced as evidence, A through D.
Okay, marking as Exhibit A, the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Exhibit B is the license certification. Exhibit C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. And Exhibit D is the 2012 board decision. Ms. Herlihy, do you have any objection to us receiving Exhibits A through D as evidence?
No, I do not, but I have more documents that I wanted to submit.
Okay, did you bring additional copies with you?
I brought 15 copies of everything.
All right. Why don't you hold on to those for a second?
Okay.
Let me admit these Exhibits A through D are received. Let's let when it's your turn to speak,
okay,
then we'll get those documents from you, okay? All right, go ahead, Mr. Paredes.
A short background on the case, Your Honor. Petitioner was originally licensed in 2004. Her license was revoked in 2012 based on an accusation that was filed and a full evidentiary hearing. At the hearing, it was found that respondent had committed 2 crimes related to theft. One was stealing $200 from a known acquaintance, and then the other one for basically a shoplifting charge. And so this is the first time that petitioner comes before the board.
All right. Now, Ms., I'm not, Herlehi,
Hurley.
do you have some additional documents?
I do it, because I submitted the, my school transcripts, but I finished another semester, so it's the additional of
Additional
that.
transcripts?
And then I have two letters of two character reference letters, one from each of my last semester's nursing instructors, and then a friend of mine did a character reference letter.
Okay, do you want to just walk up and hand them to me? Okay, what is this in the envelope?
Because that's the official, I can only afford to do one official transcript, and so the other ones are, there's one official, and then there's 14 unofficial.
Okay, but you didn't make copies of this?
Well, I didn't want to open it, because then it wouldn't be unofficial, or then it would be unofficial. It's the same thing,
But it's the same information
it's
as
the
on the
same
unofficial?
information, yeah.
Your Honor, we might, if it's please the
Stipulate I
court.
can accept the unofficial?
If that accepts the court.
Why don't you hold on to this? I don't want to take your... And I'm going to mark these next in order. Did you give Ms. Paredes, Mr. Paredes, do you have a copy?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I'll get you a copy as we go along, okay? Let me mark as next in order. Which will be Exhibit E is the unofficial transcript. And at the top, it's dated February 7 of 2017. And I'm going to pull aside one for you, Mr. Paredes, and then the board. I guess we can pass these. Is that how you'd like to do it? Sure. Okay, so we can let you pass them back and forth. We take half and pass the other way. All right. All right, next I'm marking as Exhibit F.
Your Honor, no objection to the first document, but it does contain her date of birth on the second and third page, and we'd ask that that be redacted.
Okay, so what I will do with Exhibit E is, before it is submitted into the record, before I submit the records, I'll redact your date of birth.
Okay.
And if I see any, yeah, and your address, if I see any other identifying information on the exhibits that the petitioner has presented today, I'm going to go ahead and make sure those are redacted to protect your privacy.
Well, then the letters of recommendation, I think one of them has my friend's address and P.O. box and all that on there.
Okay, I'll redact that information as well.
All right, thank you.
So Exhibit F is a memorandum from the San Bernardino Valley College. It's dated January 25 of 2017. Getting enough copies on each side. Exhibit G is a letter dated February 7 of 2017 from Jennifer Lindberg. And Exhibit H is a letter dated January 20 of 2017 from Dr. Tamara Marisi. And Mr. Paredes, any objection to us receiving Exhibits E through H as evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, E through H are received.
And you want to put the stipulation on the record, Your Honor, that we're accepting Exhibit E as a true and correct copy of what it is?
All right, so you're accepting Exhibit E as a true and correct copy of her transcript?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that's so noted. And then just to make it clear, if I see any identifying information, dates of birth, addresses, social security numbers, that type of information, I'm going to redact it off Exhibits E through H before they are transmitted to the board,
Okay.
the official exhibits are, okay? All right, so Ms. Herlihy, what would you like the board to know?
I've changed since my license was revoked. I got accepted into the RN program at San Bernardino Valley College. I've maintained a B average throughout. I've changed my life completely around. Basically, messed up bad. I don't want to say that, I don't want to use the excuse that drugs was a factor because that was alone its own issue, but it played a huge role in why I committed the acts that I committed. I've been clean now. April 9th will be 7 years. I'm a better mom, I'm a better daughter, I'm a better person, I'm a better member of society. And I feel all of this has kind of been able to gain my trust back.
Anything else you'd like to add at this point?
No, I'm just nervous.
All right.
Sorry.
If you think of something, would you alert us?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Paredes, do you have any questions?
Let me ask you just some background questions, okay? Where did you study to get your LVN?
4D Success College.
Okay, and what did you do from 2004 or so? What was your employment?
I worked at Ritchie Canyon Rehabilitation Center until 2006, and then I did registry nursing. So I was basically in home taking care of, I had mainly 2 patients that I took care of.
What kind of responsibilities did you have with those patients?
Your basic nursing, providing nursing care, ADLs, medications, suctioning, trach care, ventilator care.
Okay. Did you like that?
I loved it. I love nursing.
What happened around 2010? So you stole some money from somebody you knew.
My brother-in-law, he lived with my parents. I had gotten kicked out of my mom's house, and I had went there to go help. I had 2 kids at the time. So I was there with my kids, and I stole $200 from my sister's boyfriend. Well, now he's my brother-in-law, but, and pretty much they called the cops, and my mom kind of had me put in jail to help me clean my life up.
Okay. That was a pretty humbling experience?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What, did you have a drug dependency problem at that time?
At that time, yes.
What were your drugs of choice?
Just meth. Well, not just, because meth.
What, so this is in 2009, 10?
Yes.
What was your history of meth use? When did you start?
I want to say I started when I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay. And did you use any other drugs?
No.
Okay, so that was just your drug of choice?
Drug of choice, yes.
Did you have any alcohol dependency problems
No.
at that time? Okay. What's your sobriety date?
April 9th, the day I got arrested.
Okay. What steps did you take? April 9th of what year?
Of 2010.
And what steps have you taken? What steps did you take to maintain your sobriety?
When I went to jail, I got accepted into like the inroads program, so they did the chemical dependency program within that program. When I got out, I just disassociated myself.
Okay. What did you learn about yourself, your addiction, your triggers in your inroads program?
In my inroads program? Well, I realized I had a problem. Before it was, oh, well, this was my escape to deal with issues, and I learned kind of how to deal with those issues without turning to other things for.
What kind of coping mechanisms do you use now, or did you start using?
Well, I don't use. I get sad and I pray. I get sad and I talk to my mom. I lost my dad, and I just surrounded myself with love with my family.
Okay. Did you have any gambling issues about this time?
At the time when I was using, yes, I did.
Okay. What was was it online?
No, just at the casino.
Okay. Do you still gamble recreationally?
No.
When's the last time you were in a casino?
I went with my mom to Las Vegas for my grandpa's for Christmas for an overnight trip.
This
In January, yeah.
Did you gamble while you were at the casino?
$20 and that's it.
If you were to regain your nursing license,
Yes.
would you be willing to do drug testing or of any kind?
Yep.
Okay. Would you be willing to accept a probationary license?
Yes.
Since your 2010 conviction arrests, have you had any negative contact with law enforcement? Have you?
I got a ticket in 2000. I think it was 2010 going into 2011.
Okay,
It
so-
was after I got out of jail, but not since I had my license revoked.
Okay, so this, just like a speeding ticket, basically.
No,
So-
I haven't had any tickets since then.
Okay. At this time, I have no further questions.
Okay, does the board, anyone from the board have any questions? All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do have a couple questions. Let me pull up my sheet here. So, if you look in your packet, on page A4 is your petition for reinstatement of your license. But for some reason, that whole page is blank. And that's an important part because it talks about rehab program and sobriety date. Could you explain to me why you left it completely blank?
I was kind of unsure about this because it wasn't required when I was in court. It wasn't like part of my, basically, from what I read, it was revoked because of the dishonesty. And I didn't have enough clean time, but it wasn't revoked because of the drug problem. It was more because of I wasn't off probation yet, so I didn't really fill that out. And I was kind of iffy. Maybe I should have filled it out. It probably would have helped.
So, because it's not filled out, let me ask you a couple questions. So you did attend a rehab program, it looks like in 2010, summer of 2010.
That was when I was in custody.
And that was inpatient?
Well, it was in custody, so it was part of the inroads program.
Okay, that was
It
part
was,
of your time.
in the inroads program, you have to take like 5 or 6 classes.
Okay.
In those classes, one of them was a drug dependency or a dependency.
I got you. Okay. And then currently, do you still attend any sort of meetings?
No, I really don't. With school and my kids, I don't have time to do anything outside of school and my kids.
Okay. And do you have a sponsor?
No, I do not. I did it one time, and then I ended up relapsing. This is prior to all my convictions, and I just never, after jail, like I said, I disassociated with that whole lifestyle.
So on my notes on Judge Tully's proposed decision that you went before him in 2012, it looks like you went to rehab in 2007, and then relapsed in 2009, then were convicted of the burglary in 2010. Right after that, the summer is when you went to the inroads program.
Well, I got arrested April 9th. I got convicted at court on April 22nd.
Okay.
And then I was transferred to Glen Helen, and then I don't know the exact date of when. I just know I was there from April to August 11th of 2010.
Okay. And you're currently in the registered nursing program?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, and I also see the letter from Ms. Dubois Eastman. Is it your understanding, or you're going to be graduating in May, yes?
The date's wrong on there.
Okay.
I picked up the letter on Tuesday, and I had clinical on Wednesday, so I couldn't give it back to her to change it. So I graduate December of 2000 this year.
December of this year.
Yes.
Have you had any contact with the Board of Registered Nursing, or have your professors advised you in any way? What I'm wondering is, in order to get your RN license or to sit for the RN exam, do you need to have your VN license cleared? You need to have this cleared up?
I'm not sure. I called the Board of Nursing before I registered, before I got into the program, and the response I got was, well, it kind of depends on how the board's feeling when they get your application.
Oh, okay.
So that was the response I got. So I kind of just started the program on a limb, and put
So
it in God's hands.
So we don't know if it's a requirement for your VN license to be reinstated for you to get your registered nurse
Yes.
license? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, go ahead, Mr. Ma.
Hi, is your intention to practice nursing at the LVN level then?
Really, with this, the license being revoked, I was put on the ineligible provider for the Medicare and Medi-Cal, and that's kind of everywhere you practice nursing. So my ultimate goal is to either apply, if I get my license back, to apply as a LVN or a student nurse and then get my RN license. My plan is to go all the way to nurse practitioner.
So why I ask is because it is common for this board, if it grants your license and probationary terms, to have a requirement that you practice.
Okay.
But if your intention is not to practice, then it would be good for the board to know this, so that we can deliberate on what we might want to do. But so if you so just to clarify, your intention coming here was not necessarily to practice.
Well, I do want to
as an
practice
LVN.
until I get my RN license.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? All right, go ahead, Mr. Vertido.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Herlihy, as I stated earlier today, one of the hallmarks of nursing, whether it's RN or LVN, is integrity. Obviously, you've had issues or challenges to your integrity. How do we know that they won't repeat itself, that you've regained that trust, that integrity? Because people that will be under your care, regardless of where you're working, whether it's at home or in a facility, are very vulnerable. And they can easily be preyed upon with those that have less than being honest and forthright. So how do we know that the patients under your care will be safe with their possessions, in their homes, in the facility?
I can't speak from, I've only provided care for patients under the supervision of my instructors right now. And according to their letters, they've pretty much said that I would make a good nurse. As far as the home life and the person that I stole from, I've gained his trust back. He's the godfather of my son. So, I mean, we have an excellent relationship. I have an excellent relationship with my family, and they're the ones I hurt the most out of all of this. So for them, my mom's the one that had me put in jail. For her to gain the trust back of her was big. And I know it's gonna take practice and actually having a job to be able to prove to you guys that I can be trusted.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from members? I wanted to ask you one thing to make sure I wrote something down correctly. When you were in custody, was it from April of 2010 until August of what year?
August 11 of 2010.
Of 2010?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Paredes, anything you'd like to state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else you'd like to add, ma'am?
No, I think that's it.
All right, well then, this hearing is concluded and you'll receive a decision in the mail. The case is submitted off the record. Okay, the next person that we have is Rosalinda Martinez. You can come set yourself up here. Not doing that. ready? All right. Let's go back up on the record. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of license of Rosalinda Martinez before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. This proceeding is being held on February 9, 2017 in San Diego, California. I am Administrative Law Judge Teresa Brell. I work for the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I'm presiding over this proceeding before the board. We have a quorum of the board present. Let's have our appearances first for the Attorney General's office.
Good morning. Molly Selway, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Business and Professions Code Section 2760.1 and Government Code Section 11522.
All right, you ready to proceed? Oh, I'm sorry, appearance for the petitioner. Why don't you say your name?
Good morning. My name is Rosalinda Martinez.
Okay, Ms. Selway, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. First, I'd like to mark for identification and offer into evidence the binder, which I believe you have, and that the board and the petitioner have as well. The binder consists of 4 sections, sections A through D.
Okay. Let me mark as, you want me to go ahead and mark them?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Okay, marking as Exhibit A, the petition for reinstatement of license with the documentation that was received with that petition. Exhibit B is the license certification. Exhibit C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. And Exhibit D is the 2009 board decision.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. We'd like to move that into evidence, please.
All right, Ms. Martinez, any objection?
No.
All right, Exhibits A through D are received. Ms. Selway?
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but it looks like her personal information is listed on the front page of her, has not been redacted.
On Exhibit A?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
I'm going to note for the record, then I will, when I'm preparing the exhibits to submit, I will redact the personal information from the documents.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks for pointing that out, sir. All right, Ms. Selway?
Yes, we're here for a petition for reinstatement. On November 12, 2008, an accusation was filed against petitioner. The petitioner failed to file a notice of defense, and a default decision was entered on December 20th, 2008. The default decision of the administrative law judge was adopted by the board on December 30th, 2008. Petitioner's license was revoked.
Can you slow down a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Petitioner's license was revoked effective February 8th, 2009. The basis for discipline in this matter was petitioner's conviction of crimes substantially related to the qualifications, functions, and duties of a licensed vocational nurse. The circumstances were, in January 2008, California Highway Patrol officers arrested petitioners after they found her driving a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and found in her possession a half of a cigarette dipped in PCP. In April 2008, after pleading nolo contendere, petitioner was convicted of 1 felony count of violating Health and Safety Code Section 11377A and for possession of PCP, and 1 misdemeanor count of violating Vehicle Code Section 32152A. Petitioner's license was revoked on February 8, 2009. After the revocation, petitioner received 2 additional convictions. First, on October 2, 2012, petitioner was arrested on shoplifting charges, and then 1 day later, she was arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of methamphetamines. Petitioner was found with a small coloring pouch containing 4 grams of methamphetamines and a glass pipe. She was convicted of a misdemeanor for her shoplifting offenses and a felony for her drug-related offenses. And it's been over 8 years since her license was revoked, and this is her first petition for reinstatement. At this time, we have nothing further, and we reserve the right to cross-examine.
Okay, Ms. Martinez, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what would you like the board to know?
2008 through 2012, I pretty much spiraled out of control. I did very much so have a drug problem. I've been clean since November 19th, 2012. I don't really know what to say for myself because I'm very ashamed of my record. During that time, I've since changed my life, and I've done a lot of things to show that I'm not that person. It's hard to even think back to that time because of my actions and because of the things that I was involved with. I don't really know what to say other than, you know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show the board that I have changed my life, and I do so every day. Like, I'm not that person that is on paper, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show that.
Anything else?
I mean, I've got my cosmetology license, and it's just, I've been working as a hairstylist, and it's just not what I want to do. It's not where my passion is at. My passion is in nursing. I know that I don't expect to just like come back to nursing and it's just going to happen overnight. I know it's going to be a process, and I don't think it's impossible. But like I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show the board and everybody else that I'm not that person anymore that I once was.
All right, Ms. Selway, do you have any questions?
I do, Your Honor, thank you. Since 2012, have you had any criminal convictions or any negative interaction with law enforcement?
No.
Nothing at all?
Not that I can remember, no.
Okay. When I reviewed the police docket, it indicated in 2003 you tested positive for THC and that you had a medicinal marijuana card. Is that correct?
In 2013?
2013, yes.
Yes, when I was going through the program, I did actually have a medical marijuana card, but I haven't done anything like that since then. I have 3.5-year-old twins, so pretty much before they were born, I haven't used any drugs whatsoever.
Okay, so when was the last time you used marijuana?
I don't remember the exact date, but it was in 2013.
Okay, thank you.
It was before they were born.
Okay. What changes in your life have you made to make sure there will be no further relapses?
Like I said, I have 3.5-year-old boy-girl twins, and I'm pretty much all they have. So with that taken into consideration, I knew that I had to do some serious steps to get my life together. And, you know, like I said, I work full-time. I take care of them. I'm very much into health and fitness. I work with a trainer, and you know, I just try to take as best care of myself as I can, mentally and physically.
Okay. And what currently are you doing? Are you involved in any programs for alcohol or drug-related?
No, issues? when I did do NA and AA, it was when I was arrested in 2012. I was given the option of taking Prop 36, and so when I did that, I was in an outpatient program where I did do NA and AA meetings, but I haven't done that. Like, I don't know. I haven't really, honestly, like, I haven't craved drugs or had any triggers that would ever, like, lead me back to that. Like, it's really embarrassing, to be honest with you, that I ever did some of those things.
Your petition mentions that you are still in NA, I believe. Is that not accurate?
No, yeah, that's not accurate.
Okay. Or A, I think it was. Going back to when you were a licensed nurse in 2003 to 2008, can you give us a brief description of your job history?
Yeah, I worked in a long-term care facility, and I became IV certified, and I worked in a long-term care facility where I passed meds, I did finger sticks, I did treatment care, and basically had anywhere from like 30 patients as a charge nurse. I really enjoyed what I was doing at the time, and if I could go back now, I would have went on to further my career instead of just taking a downhill slide like I did. Yeah, that's what I did.
Do you know why you started using drugs? Do you understand those triggers today?
You know what, I would like to say that my mom passed away unexpectedly in 2007 from a pill overdose herself, but I'm not going to even use that as an excuse. Did it escalate the situation? Because before that, I think I was, when I moved back to Bakersfield, I was working as a nurse, and then I started hanging around the wrong people. And I've learned that you really are who you hang out with. And we all have to be responsible for decisions that we make. So in retrospect, I now know that hanging out with the people that I was hanging out with, making the choices that I was making, and just not being a responsible person, I mean, I very much deserved to lose my license when I did. I had no business practicing nursing. You can't do good and do bad at the same time.
And when did you start using drugs?
I started using drugs on and off, I want to say in 2006.
And what drugs were you using?
I really didn't have a dependency to any one drug. I wouldn't say that I became addicted to drugs until for sure 2008. But I just would, like I said, hanging out with the wrong people, obviously PCP, well, that was once in a while, but meth was I used that a lot. And I believe it really goes back to the people that I was choosing to hang around. I mean, you can't hang around with people you have nothing in common with,
Did you ever abuse alcohol?
I would drink, but it was never a problem. I did have my first DUI in 2006 was I was drinking alcohol, but I was also taking pills. So I wouldn't exactly say that I had a problem with alcohol. I had a problem with drugs.
Do you still drink alcohol?
I have an occasional glass of wine every now and then, but it kind of goes against my fitness goals. So I try to stay away from that.
Okay. And did you go into any type of rehabilitation program or anything like that?
Yes. When I took Prop 36, I pretty much had the option of it was either Prop 36 or I was going to go to jail for a while. And in 2012, when I got arrested that one day on October 2nd for shoplifting, and then the very next day I got arrested for the drug possession, I was done. I was very much done and ready, and even if I didn't realize it at the time, because after that, like I said, I didn't get sober until November 19th when I decided to take Prop 36. I wanted the help. I wanted the help. I was ready to do whatever it took to change my life. And I didn't. I took a look around me and I said, I don't want to be like this anymore. This is not who I am. So I've been pretty much digging myself out of the hole that I put myself into, and I'm just trying to go forward with my life and figure out what it is I want to do, and definitely nursing is it.
Since 2012, do you have any nurse-related experience?
I don't. I did some continuing education units, but it wasn't I haven't been able to work practicing nursing. As I said before, I'm willing to do whatever it takes as far as the NCLEX PN or classes, or I want to dive back into it with everything I have.
And do you have a plan in place to deal with any potential relapse or any potential desire for using drugs?
I would say yes, just don't do it. There's consequences to actions, and I'm not willing to throw away everything that I've worked hard for to this point for drugs.
At this time, I have nothing further.
Okay. Any questions from any board members?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I think I heard you said was you became addicted to drugs in 2008.
Where I actually was looked at myself in the mirror and said, okay, you're no longer just dabbling, you're now addicted. Okay. And that's the realization that I realized then. I knew I had a problem.
But you were using before then?
Yes, I was dabbling.
And so in 2006, the DUI, it was alcohol and drugs, or just
alcohol?
Yeah,
it was alcohol and Xanax, and I was driving and I blacked out at the wheel, and so I got a DUI from that.
And then I see also in 2002 there was a reckless driving conviction?
In 2002?
Mm-hmm. February 13th, 2002. Conviction of reckless driving? Was there alcohol or drugs involved in that?
Oh, a wet reckless, yes. Are you sure that was that in April?
My notes, I will ask the DAG, my notes say February 13th, 2002.
Because when I was, well, I would have been 22 then. I remember getting a reckless driving when I was 20 before I got my nursing license, and that kind of like held up the process.
Yeah. So were there alcohol or drugs involved with that?
Yes, I
reckless
was
driving?
drinking.
So
that
just
night.
alcohol?
It was just alcohol, yes.
Okay.
But I mean, I was under the age of 21 at the time, so that's why, oh, you know what? It might have been 2002 because that's when I was convicted of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I was 20 at the time that it happened.
So underage drinking?
Yes.
Age 20. Okay. And your sobriety date, you've said, is November 19th, 2012?
Yes.
But my question is, that's sobriety from what? That's sobriety, because it doesn't include alcohol, right?
Ooh, actually, yeah, because when I was in the program, I wasn't, well, no, now, because I have a glass of wine every now and then, but I'm speaking of like the hardcore drugs.
So, and it doesn't include marijuana because you use that for medical
Right,
reasons.
right.
So what do you consider being, that sobriety date, you consider that being clean and sober from what?
From methamphetamine, from PCP, from anything that is hardcore. It's kind of weird, like when I was in the outpatient program, I was in, like if you had, Kern County Probation pretty much said that if you have a medical marijuana card, you can pretty much smoke weed. So I used it just as calming and just kind of to help me get through a lot of stuff. But then when I got pregnant with the twins, I was like, it's pretty much just it's just another crutch, you know? And so I know, like, it's just something I had to stop.
Okay.
You know, I think everything is to be like, well, except for hardcore drugs, but in moderation. And I think that's what I didn't know, you know, but also again, leading back to consequences. Is it worth it to me to test positive for weed when I'm looking to better my life and further my career? No, it's not worth it.
So you don't use medical marijuana anymore?
Not at all.
And what about the pills? What about the Xanax or other benzodiazepines?
No, not at all.
None at
my
all?
My mom passed away from an accidental drug overdose, and she had fibromyalgia, and she basically took too much pills and didn't wake up. She was only 45. I was 26 at the time. So I took it really hard. For sure, the first 5 years after that, I feel like I just stopped caring.
Okay.
And so, but that's not who I am.
Yeah. So, and you currently are not attending Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics
No.
Anonymous? And also, I guess, presume you also do not have a sponsor or anything?
No, I don't.
So what is your support system to stop you from relapsing?
Like I said, I'm very active. I don't know if this is significant, but when I was my heaviest, I was 217 pounds. And when I started getting into the healthy lifestyle, I realized it was a lifestyle. And so when I dropped the weight and saw changes physically within myself, it motivated and inspired me. And so that's a lot of the times what I use to like calm my mind, like the cardio, the running, the fitness. It does something mentally to me that's very helpful.
If you were to regain your license and go back to work, it's a stressful environment. Nursing has a stressful environment you might be working in. And you had a stressful day and you were feeling pressured and were tempted to relapse, what would you do? Who would you call? Who's your support?
I brought a very close friend with me. My coworkers, I work at Supercuts cutting hair, and my friends have become, I want to say three of them for sure, have become my family. I live with my dad, but he, unfortunately he has problems with alcohol, and I see him at 64-year-olds struggle with these problems. And so I rely on myself a lot, and I rely on my friends. I rely on the fact that I'm a mother to twins that need me, and for some reason or another, it's just I can feel my own inner strength now. I think that I had to learn to love and respect myself before I could love and respect anybody else. Once I started doing so, then things became a lot easier for me.
Sure. And then I see in 2008, the board brought an accusation against you to revoke your license, and you didn't respond to it, so your license was revoked by default.
Right.
How come you never responded to the accusation?
At that point, I was very much addicted to drugs, and it was devastating, but at the same time, I deserved it, and I had it coming. Like, how do you defend yourself when you're wrong, when you know you're wrong, you know? I wasn't ready at that point to even try to defend myself.
Okay. My last question is, I just want to confirm the dates of your rehab. So it looks like the court ordered you to rehabilitation. The dates I have are November 2012 to July 2013.
Yes.
That was inpatient?
That was outpatient.
Outpatient. Okay, thank you.
Any other board member questions? Doesn't look like there are any more.
I have.
Did you want to say something else?
Yes, please. I don't mean to interrupt you. I got the felony because obviously some of those were drug felonies, and I got that expunged. And I'm in the process now of getting the rest of my record expunged. I've paid off all my court fines, and I have another court date in April because I still owe probation. But I brought 15 copies of that. I don't know. Oh, for the new court date? Well, yeah, it's just because I'm trying to get the misdemeanor charges expunged as well.
Okay, why don't you bring that up here? This is in addition to what you already presented.
Yes,
right?
I just recently went to court for this.
Okay. Going to mark as Exhibit E the court documents regarding. This is regarding your attempts to expunge?
Yes, like the fines for the shoplifting, the other fines that I received, I paid off with as far as like the misdemeanor charges go and the felony. But I still owe probation, and I'm in the last 3 months of my 18-month DUI program because the DUI that I got in 2008 and in 2006 required me to take an 18-month program. So I am currently enrolled in that, and I have 3 more months left before I'll be done. I have a restricted driver's license now.
Okay, so what I'm marking as Exhibit E, it's records from court case number BM811699A, and it looks like it's documentation regarding payment of fines and penalties?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to pass this. I'm going to have one for you, Ms. Is it Salway? Yes, and then pass it to the board. You didn't bring documents about the actual motion to expunge. That's not here, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I thought it was, I'm not sure if it was included, but I think, no, actually it wouldn't be because I started the process after I turned in the packet. So, but the felony was, the fees were waived and it was expunged, and the misdemeanor charges of what happened through the years is what I'm in the process of getting taken care of.
Oh, let me just ask her, just make it clear. Ms. Martinez, when I look at Exhibit E, just to make the record clear, it says the defendant's name is Rosalinda Devora?
Yes, I was married in 2007, and so that's my legal name at this point. Martinez is my maiden last name.
Okay. Now, Ms. Savoy, do you have any objection to us receiving Exhibit E?
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, Exhibit E is received, and I noticed it has the petitioner's date of birth and address. I'm going to redact that information before it becomes part of the public record. Anything else that you wanted to add, Ms. Martinez?
I don't think so.
Any other questions from the board? And I'm mispronouncing your name because I haven't.
Salway.
Ms. Salway. Ms.
Thank you.
Salway, did you have any other statements you wanted to make?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, then the hearing, the case is submitted, and you'll receive a written decision in the mail. We're off the record.
Thank you.
Now it's only 20 after 11, so we're going to do another case. And the next case is going to be Terry McKenzie. Ms. Martinez? Okay, good. The court reporter wanted to talk to you real quickly. Yeah, we can get it done sooner, huh? You ready to go back on, Fabio? Okay, go ahead. Just tell me when you're ready. Okay, let's go back on the record. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of license of Terry Lynn McKenzie before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. This proceeding is being held on February 9 of 2017 in San Diego, California. Board member Todd O'Bronstein is recusing himself from this proceeding. We have a quorum of the board present. Why don't we have, my name is Administrative Law Judge Teresa Burrell. I work for Office of Administrative Hearings, and I will be presiding over this hearing or petition hearing. Why don't we have the appearances beginning with the Deputy Attorney General?
Your Honor, Laudo A. Paredes with the Attorney General's Office.
Okay, and petitioner, would you state your name?
My name is Terry McKenzie.
All right, Mr. Paredes.
Your Honor, short synopsis. Ms. McKenzie was had her license revoked in 2013. She was first granted licensure almost 20 years before in 1995. The grounds for revocation were several DUI convictions, the one wet reckless, which basically turns into a DUI, then another DUI, and then a third DUI with injury. There's also potentially a documentation question, which was also in the accusation. Her license was revoked effective May 6, 2013, and this is her first time coming before the board for reinstatement.
Okay. And I'm going to mark the documents that you gave me in the binder. Exhibit A is the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Exhibit B is the license certification. Exhibit C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. And Exhibit D
is a board decision.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I have it marked.
And then
hold on a second. Is the 2012 board decision is Exhibit D. Were you going to say something, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. The last page of Exhibit C, so if you go to Exhibit D, it's the page right before that.
Yes.
There's a copy of the petitioner's driver's license. We'd ask that that be redacted.
Oh, yes, we can redact that. So that's the last page of Exhibit C, and I'll redact that before this becomes, the exhibits become part of the public record. Okay, let me, and now I've just been pointed out to me on page, Exhibit A, page 11, see if I have it. Oh, yes, exhibit, there's also a notice of, is this the one you're looking at? Mm-hmm. Notice of completion certificate that also includes her address and some identifying information that I'm going to need to redact as well.
And Your Honor, petitioner has indicated she has some further documentation. Do you want to take that now or for case in chief?
Why don't you walk that up to me? Would you mind handing that up to me and we can just mark it at the beginning? Thank you. And then there's just 15 copies of each of these? There's 10? Okay, well, I think we can handle that, hopefully. Why don't you have a seat, ma'am? You can. I'm going to mark as exhibit. I have to find a good place to put on because I don't want to cover up anything important. Exhibit E is a individual training account documentation from San Bernardino County Workforce Development Department. And Exhibit F is a letter from San Bernardino County. Do they need more? I think everyone has one. Exhibit F is a letter dated October 13, 2016 from San Bernardino County Children and Family Services Placement Resources Division. Mr. Predis, did you get one of those?
I have D and F.
Okay.
Delta and Foxtrot.
E and F, you mean?
I have got both.
Okay,
D and F.
great.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I noticed on both E and F, it looks like there's some personal identifying information, like social security numbers and dates of birth that I'm going to have to redact before this becomes part of the public record. Ms. McKenzie, can you come up here and just take these extra copies? I don't want them to be laying around here. Is there any objection to me receiving, or us receiving exhibits A through F as evidence, Mr. Predis?
Well, Your Honor, not for mine, and obviously because I introduced them, and then for respondents, I have no.
Yeah,
as
Ms.
well.
McKenzie, any objections to me receiving all the exhibits?
No.
Okay, exhibits A through F are received. Mr. Predis, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Subject to cross-examination or statement.
All right, Ms. McKenzie, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like the board to know, ma'am?
I would like the board to know that I've been rehabilitated, clean and sober since 2010, and I'm ready to become a psychiatric technician again.
Anything else?
No.
Any questions, Mr. Predis?
Ma'am, some background questions. Where did you initially go to school to get your LVN education?
Psychiatric technician program at San Bernardino Valley College in San Bernardino.
And did you worked in the field?
Yes, I worked at Patton State Hospital for 17 years.
Okay. What were your responsibilities there? What did you do?
I was charge over the unit. I worked mostly night shift, and I passed medications. I escorted clients and held groups.
How'd you like your job?
I loved it.
At some point you developed, did you have an alcohol dependency problem?
Yes, I did.
So tell me how that started and kind of where it ended up.
Well, I was a casual drinker, and then along the way, it just got out of control. I think, you know, my children left, and I was a little bored maybe, and I just drank and drank and drank more.
Okay. I'm gonna, not trying to embarrass you, but walk me through your convictions for DUI.
Let's see, I work nights, I'd come home, I'd drink before I go to sleep, because I had to go to work the next night, but I would somehow find myself driving around, because I like to drive. And first time I got a flat tire, next time I changed lanes, you know, then that had made me
get a DUI when the police stopped me. You know,
So the one that turned into a wet reckless, you had been, your car had a flat tire.
no, that one the officer said I unsafe lane change or something.
Okay.
So he pulled me over.
All right. What was your thought process? What was going on through your mind through this, say, 2009 to 2010 period, 2008 to 2010 period?
There was a death in the family.
I'm not, nobody's interested in trying to make you feel bad, but
No,
we're
I
trying
know.
to figure out what was going on and see, and then if and how you move past that, okay?
Yeah, I don't like to use that as an excuse, because there's no excuse for drinking and driving and being irresponsible. So, I just, found comfort in drinking.
After your first DUI, did you think you had a alcohol problem, or did you think, oh, well, that was dumb, but I don't have a problem?
I didn't think I had a problem, no.
Okay. After your second DUI?
I didn't think I had a problem, no.
Okay, and then what happened to your third DUI when you hurt someone?
It was myself that I hurt.
Right.
I didn't want to be arrested, so I told them I was hurt, so I went to hospital and still went to jail.
Okay. What, were you incarcerated for any amount of time?
Yes, sir, I was incarcerated for 12 months, or 8 months.
And you had spent your career kind of in a facility,
I
and so
did.
that must have been very difficult for you.
I dealt with it.
Okay. What did you do any kind of rehabilitation classes, AA, anything like that?
Yeah, I did AA. I went to cognitive classes. I did, I worked in the, appointment center. And I did various different things in there while I was locked up.
Do you have a sobriety date?
This December 2010.
Okay. And is that when you began your incarceration, or what?
Yes.
Okay. What do you drink recreationally at all?
Not at all.
Why not?
It's not in my psyche anymore. I don't have the urge, I don't have the desire to drink, because it costs me a lot.
Okay. I understand you had a drinking problem, and I understand that you don't drink anymore.
Right.
It's often not, and I know that that's not an easy transition. Can you talk to me about what that entails for you to stop drinking? You said you did the AA classes, but what stopped you drinking? What have you learned? Help me with that.
I just don't want to drink anymore. I mean, I've got grandchildren looking up to me, my children looking up to me, and it's just, I'd rather, work and be a productive citizen of.
What have you been doing for work the last few years?
I worked at Walmart. I worked in the cash office. I was an account cash. I worked in Nordstrom because they paid a little more. And then I started going to school. I got my bachelor's in psychology. I got my master's in management. And then I decided to go on to get my CNA license again and see if I can start.
Have you worked at all as a CNA?
Just training. I was a CNA previously.
You got your degree from Colorado
Technical University.
Okay, so these are predominantly online classes, or did you attend any classes?
They're online classes.
Okay, and what did you get your degrees in?
Psychology, bachelor's, and management.
Okay. What would you'd like to get your LVN license?
No, my psych tech.
Oh, psych tech, I apologize, you said that twice, and that's my mistake. You'd like to get your psych tech, well, would you like to work in the field again?
I would like to work in the field or teach.
Okay. If you were to teach, do you think that your experience with the disciplinary side of the board would come up?
In what way?
I'm asking you, in any way. Would you tell people that you'd been disciplined by the board?
Well, I use my, what I've been through, I use it as a testimony.
Okay.
You know, so other people will learn from my mistakes.
I understand that you currently don't have the urge and you to drink.
Yeah.
Do you have, what happens if you do? What happens if you wake up one day and because of the stresses of life or work or finances, a drink sounds pretty good?
It's not. I have 3 foster babies that I have right now.
What are their ages?
Twins, 2 years old and 1 8 months.
Okay.
So they need me.
Does anyone else live in your household?
My daughter's there. Another daughter of mine, she lives there with me.
And so, again, your sobriety date is somewhere in December of 2010, so a little over 7 years now. Is that correct? Have you had any other negative contacts with law enforcement?
No.
Since your last arrest? No. In 2009, your license had initially expired for a little while, your psych tech license. Do you recall that? We had to renew it. Do you recall that?
I renewed it.
Okay, and there was a box that said that you certified under penalty of perjury that you had done all of the continuing education credits you had to do.
Yes.
Okay, and then you were audited, and as far as I know, the board never got those.
I couldn't find where I took the course at. When I went online, I couldn't retrieve it. It was in an old computer, a laptop.
Okay.
And the laptop wasn't any good.
But your testimony is that you absolutely took those courses?
Yes, sir.
So it's just you couldn't find the
I
paperwork?
couldn't find proof.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Any questions by board members?
Good morning. So I'm looking at your petition, and it says 2 meetings per week, like NAAA meetings. Do you still attend those?
No.
No. So do you attend any sort of
No.
recovery meetings? And any sponsor? Do you have any
No, I used to have a sponsor when I first got out of jail. Her name was Ashley Jack. But I only dealt with her probably about a year or so, and then I started, taking classes, going to school and stuff.
And I do notice that you have furthered your education. You have your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, and the documents that you gave us today, I see that CNA, home health aide, telemetry technician monitoring. So you've received a lot of education that you could have a career using your degrees. Why are you instead interested in becoming a psych tech again?
Miss Mimi Tumaine from San Bernardino Valley College, she wants me to come back and teach.
Okay. So to be faculty at San Bernardino?
Yes.
So that would be your plan for employment, not to work directly with clients, but to be in a faculty role?
If I could do like 2 jobs at a time, I would do that. Or as far as, like maybe in the summer, I can work registry as a psych tech.
And the other document that you gave us from Children and Family Services, this is concerning the foster children that you have?
Yes.
That they've given you an exemption to have foster children?
Yes.
I don't quite understand. This is-
Well, I have 3 foster babies.
So this exempts you, it says exemption for relatives and non-relative extended family members.
They're my daughter's kids.
Oh, okay. So it's they're basically allowing you to have them despite the criminal record?
Yes.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Any other board questions? Dr. Bass de Martinez?
It's okay. Good morning, and I just want to question just a little more. And it appears this is a very emotional
I'm just nervous.
experience for you.
I'm just nervous.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I want to make sure it's not the nervousness versus the circumstance.
Oh, no, I'm just nervous. I'm not a public speaker.
As you were talking about or responding to us about what is your support system, you mentioned you have family, and it's clear you have your grandbabies at home with you, and 1 or 2 daughters. How did we?
I have 1 daughter, and
Is at home with you?
yeah, she's there.
You know, sometimes our children can cause us lots of grief.
Oh, no.
And that could really be enough to put us over the edge.
It could, yeah.
When that happens, not that it's regularly at your home, but if it were to happen, how would you handle that? Where would you go? Who would you call?
Well, I'm active in my church, so I often read my Bible, you know, for comfort and just keep me grounded. I attend church every Sunday. I take my grandbabies to church.
Well, sometimes, you know, this is a mission. Maybe I want to throw that Bible at one of those grandbabies.
I'm a very patient person.
Pardon me?
I'm a very patient person.
Oh, okay. So not necessarily is there a particular person or your minister or someone in that last moment, breaking moment possibly, that you have listed that you would contact? Is that what I hear you saying, other than reading your Bible?
Well, I have daughters. I have older daughters. They're all in their 30s. One's a psych tech, one worked for the gas company, and they're level-headed children. So if I need to talk to another adult, I can talk to them. You know, my mother passed away. She just passed away last year.
Sorry to hear that. Is there anything else you want to make sure we understand in terms of your support system that you haven't told us about?
Like I said, I go to church, and I'm close to the pastor, and sometimes we have home groups. We go to different members' house to have Bible study. You know, so I do that, and I feel like I'm grounded, and I just, you know, I've took a lot of psychology classes, and I am a psych tech, so I know how to use stress relievers, you know, and, you know, I've learned it all, and I use it, I practice it on myself. I know myself. I know when I'm going to do this. I know when I'm going to do that. I know what I need to do. I know what I need not to do. You know, I know I'm in tune with myself.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Ms. Norton.
Good morning. So, what I'm having trouble with is you do have a degree in psychology and you're a psych tech.
Yes.
So, if you were seeing a patient, you were counseling a patient, and that patient came to you with a history of 3 DUIs, had spent some time in jail, and was now coming to see you for one last time, saying, I've learned everything I need to learn, I've done everything that I need to do. Would your advice be to that person that they wouldn't need any more therapy?
No, not at all.
But that seems to be the advice that you've given yourself.
No, that's not so, because I'm constantly learning, and I'm constantly trying to pass off what I've learned to others, the positive stuff I've learned. I don't mean to be sounding like that.
Okay, so you believe then that in your quest to help others, it's also helping yourself?
Of course.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other, oh, go ahead, Mr. Vertido.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
You've stated that if you're reinstated with a PT license, your intent is to hopefully work as faculty in a PT program?
I would like to. I would like to.
I'm going to need some help from the NAC president. But my understanding under the PT regs and the VN regs is that to be an instructor, you have to have a clear license, no probation. Is that is correct? They must have a clear, active license. It cannot, just a license. Okay. So what I'm trying to figure out is, would a psych tech with a probationary license be eligible to teach? And that's kind of the question I'm kind of looking for. Because I'm combing the regs right now, and I remember reading it, but I'm not 100% sure. But what I'm trying to figure out is if your plan is viable. You know, it's good to be an instructor. And one of the things as a faculty is that you must be a shining example of what they should aspire to. And if your probation's on, if your PT license is on probation, you're kind of tarnished until you could reburnish it and polish it back up. And you're moving in that direction by all evidence. But what I don't want to do is give you a license and then think that you can get a job as an instructor and find out that there is a major roadblock in front of you.
Can I work as a PT?
To be working as an instructor
Well, I
of
would
a
love to work as a psych tech. I love patient care.
Right, but what I'm asking our staff and the DAG is.
It appears that, sir, that it doesn't differentiate between just a probationary license or not.
Okay,
So
as long as they are licensed, but it could be, probation is not part of the consideration.
But
And-
probation has the employment limitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the standard probationary terms for your board generally have a not supervising and sometimes a not, but not necessarily a no teaching clause.
Okay, and that's what I was.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's what I was concerned about.
Yeah,
Under,
so it's a potential employment limitation.
okay. Right, and that's what I was trying to clarify. I knew for a fact about VNs, but psych techs were a little bit different. So that's what I'm concerned about, is that your stated intent may not be feasible.
Oh, I see.
Because being a teacher, you have to have a clear license, and as I said earlier, you have to be an example of the best of the profession.
That's right.
You don't have to have
The clear license would come in as a part of the hiring process to the school, but in terms of the reg, that's not.
Yeah.
Correct, okay.
So there's a distinction, and I believe that what we've got here, and your DCA council may advise in more detail, is that the regs do not prohibit somebody with a license.
But her probation on the job, and I knew there was
job
one.
hiring may.
I just wasn't where it was located, so it's in the probation.
It's number 8 of our probationary terms, Mr. Marcroft, I believe.
So I couldn't.
That part of the employment limitations is not to be teaching faculty. So that's part of our probationary.
Right, and that's why I knew it was located, it just wasn't located where it was located. So what I'm trying to do is give you a heads up.
But you could still work as a psych tech.
Okay, well, then I would do, I love working as a nurse, psych tech.
And again, you had clearly stated your intent to become a instructor of physical therapy, psychiatric technicians.
No, I said it was an option, or I might have said intent, but it's just an option.
Okay. Well, I just remember that was one of your main goals, so. All right, thank you, Your Honor. Thank
Any
you.
other questions from any board members? All right, Mr. Predis?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else that you'd like to add, Ms. McKenzie?
No.
All right, well, then the case is submitted. You'll be receiving a decision from the board in the mail off the record. Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. McKenzie, you can talk to the court reporter, and she'll tell you how to get, what to do in case you ever need a transcript of this decision, okay? We're gonna take the next case, which is Embria Medlock
in a year or so. I just can't.
So you're leaving? Okay. You're going to come back, right? Not for this one. Besides other things he wants to do, huh?
One more, 12:30. Lunch is going to be ready for 12:30.
Yeah, we're gonna hear one more case, and then we're gonna have our lunch break after that, just to be clear.
There's just this one and one more.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do both?
Well, lunch is being prepared for us at 12 to be ready.
You ready? Fabian, are you ready? Okay. All right, let's go on the record. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of the licensed vocational nurse license of Embria Latifa Medlock before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. This proceeding is being held on February 9 of 2017 in San Diego, California. A quorum of the board is present. I'm Administrative Law Judge Teresa Brell for the Office of Administrative Hearings. I'm presiding over this proceeding. Let's have the appearances first from the Attorney General's office.
Your Honor, Lauro A. Paredes with the Attorney General's office.
And petitioner.
Embria Medlock.
Okay, you might want to speak up and maybe.
Embria Medlock.
Okay, we might have to remind you as we go because you talk a little soft. Good.
Yeah, pull the microphone.
Yeah, just
really.
have the mic close, then you don't have to be yelling. All right, so Mr. Paredes, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Short summation. The petitioner was first licensed in 2009. In 2013, an accusation was filed based on a check fraud conviction. It was initially a felony, but then reduced via Penal Code Section 17B to a misdemeanor. The check fraud was for attempting to cash a false check at a Wells Fargo. There's also a disciplinary consideration for a DUI in 2002. Petitioner was resolved the case via stipulated decision, placed on probation. Shortly thereafterward, she did surrender her license. Looks like from February 19th, the stipulated decision was adopted, and in March, she surrendered her license. This is her first time coming before the board.
All right, I'm going to mark the exhibits that you've provided. Exhibit A is the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Exhibit B is the license certification. C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence, and D is the 2014 board decision. Are there any objections to those documents being received in evidence? Ms. Medlock?
No.
Okay, so exhibits A through D are received in evidence. Ms. Medlock, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. All right, Ms. Medlock, what would you like the board to know?
For one, I'm really, really nervous. It's been a
Can you-
long time.
Hold
and
on 1 second. Can you move the mic even closer? No, closer, because we can't really hear you up here.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you know what? I'm always told I'm really loud. So, okay, I am really nervous, and
Your friend can sit with you, that's all right. Okay?
Ms. Medlock, do you want me to, can I ask you some questions, maybe? Would that be helpful? And if at any point you just want to make your statement, you can do that, Your Honor. Was that?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Medlock. Where'd you go to school to get your license?
Summit Career College.
Why?
Because I've been a nursing all my life. I started CNA in 96. I had my first daughter at 15. And just getting cash aid wasn't going to cut it. So I went to be a CNA. And then by the time I was going to have my second baby, that little money wasn't working. So I went to school for LVN.
Okay, so you'd been a CNA and an LVN. Did you like it?
That's all I know, yes.
Okay. What did you like about it?
Me, myself, I'm more tolerable to the elderly and disabled. And more understanding. And a lot of them people, they don't have family. You become their family. You are their family. And I'm just more tolerable with the elderly and looking out for them and their needs.
What about, you know, when they ask you the same question over and over again? Do you get annoyed by that?
No, because half of them have dementia and Alzheimer's.
Okay. How about, you know, all the cleaning duties you have to do for them and kind of looking out for them? Does that annoy you? Or are you okay
Say that
with
again?
How about all the other stuff? Any of the things that they do, you handle that okay? The taking care of them and making sure they do everything, you're okay with that?
Well, yeah, that's what you go to school for. That's what you sign up for. That's your role. You're there every day. Sometimes you're their hands, you're their feet, you're their legs. You are them. They're just in their body, and you're there to help them.
All right. I want to go into this conviction in 2012.
Okay.
There's a stipulated thing already, so just tell me what happened.
The worst mistake I made in my life. Went into a bank knowing that...
You need to speak just a little bit further because that nice young lady over there can't hear you. You can't type up what you're saying.
Okay.
No, closer, closer.
The worst mistake I made. Yes, I was asked to help a friend out. Not even thinking twice. It actually went into a bank to cash a check. Put my fingerprint on it, but when the lady took it back and said, wait a minute, I knew something was wrong. I left out the bank. And when I got outside, the person was gone.
Okay.
Then I came back. No, I didn't come back. I went to the store. They rolled up in their car on me, and I'm telling the person, hey, what's wrong with your check? Something is wrong with your check. They're calling the people on your check. Don't you want to call your boss? He told me, no, I deal with it. But my first thing was, I got my own checking account. You can put it in my account. I bank with Bank of America. They didn't want to do that. Me not ever really being in no trouble like this, okay, I can help a friend, but my mama always say, Bree, how did you even do that? You won't even write a check for your bills. Not for my own bills. I won't write a check to hold nothing over for me. And I did that. Okay. Not thinking nothing of it. Time went on, living my life, and I ended up with a warrant in the mail telling me to come and get fingerprinted. I called my mom, like, hold on, Mom, something's going on. They told me I did something. Went to the police station in Hemet. The man and the woman came out, they spoke to me, and they told me it was a burglary. I told him, I'm a nurse. I ain't broken nobody's house. He was like, well, hopefully your fingerprints ain't been on nothing. But then it was an older lady that was helping this other guy on the corner. And she was like, when I left and they got to explain to me what it was, she said, well, sweetie, I hope your fingerprint wasn't on that check. Boom, there it was. I did go in there, and that was in December, but I did it in July, not knowing I'm in trouble. I went to court. I pled not guilty. But then my public defender told me, if you want to get your life back, for one, the person that was in all of this with you, you can't find them. You're going to get on trial. You're going to pray 12 people believe you. If they don't, that's a felony in your nursing life. So I pled not guilty. I pled guilty.
All right, so when you walked into the bank, were you supposed to get some of that money? Let's start at the beginning. When you walked into the bank, did you know the check was fake?
No.
Okay. What was your deal? You were going to cash the money and give it to your friend?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the story as to why your friend couldn't cash the check?
ID was broken. I went bad. It been so long ago. But his ID wasn't right. Because he even had the blank check.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh,
we can't
I'm
hear
sorry.
you.
Oh, you can't?
You need to speak louder and
Okay.
a little more slowly. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm going to ask that again, okay?
Yes.
So you walk in, you know the check is you think the check is good when you walk in.
It was an empty check. He even signed my name inside the check. Yes.
And then and the reason that he did not go in there to cash the check was what?
He said his ID was broken. It was broken or expired. Okay. And it had some, I never really paid attention to who it was made by, but it said something about nursing. But I did ask him, because I worked in an apartment for 2 years. You get to know the people and the people around there. He was a guy that you actually see around there all the time. He had family lived in there. So you actually think you know these people if you see these people.
Okay. All right, so that happened. Then there's an accusation against your nursing license.
Yes.
What happened there, as far as you remember?
After my nursing license?
Mm-hmm. So there's an accusation filed.
Yes. And then I came to court, and they offered me, I really didn't understand what was going on, because I had never been through this. And it was like a probation situation I could be on, or I could surrender my license. That's as far as I remember. And it was just so stressful, the whole thing. I just surrendered. I was tired. I just surrendered my license.
Okay. All right. So let me go through. So at some point you talked to a deputy AG, and he said there's a stipulated settlement that you can do. And if you sign, and they ask you to sign a stipulated settlement. Do you recall that?
Yeah, when I went to the nursing board for court, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a woman.
It was a woman, okay. And so you were put on, and then you surrendered your license?
Yes.
Okay, why did you do that?
Just tired. It was, for one, after all this had happened, it was hard for me to find a job. When I found a job in August, but then once I had to go to court, notified of going to court in December, I had found the job with Maxim. I had to explain to them what had happened. So then I lost my job right then and there. They had took me off the schedule. They was waiting to hear from corporate. Corporate took 8 months to say yes or no I could come back. So through 8 months, I was unemployed. Once they decided that they wasn't going to bring me back due to the conviction and what had happened, I was out of a job. And it was hard just really looking for a job with the conviction on my record. And I was still on summary probation with the court and just waiting for my summary probation to be over to move for dismissal. So it was hard finding a job with that on your record. So I just gave up and surrendered.
Okay. But now you're, okay, so what caused you to come back?
They told me, the board told me I had 2 years. Make sure that I do what the court say do. Stay out of trouble. Do what you need to do to get your life back. And that's what I did. I did my community service. I think it was a community service. It's like a work release. That's what I did do. But at the time, losing my job, I worked at a park picking up trash. Didn't have income to keep going back and forth to the park, to drive to the park, and finding a babysitter. So I went back to the courts, and asked, can I just turn myself in? Because I don't have a job, so I don't have gas to pay a babysitter to go back and forth from my home to the place. So can I just turn myself in? I turned myself in. The judge ordered me to pay $429. At the time, again, I didn't have money. So I asked the judge, can she please hold until I got my income tax, and I would pay in full. And that's what I did. Me not knowing, I thought the quicker that I do all these things that the courts wanted me to do, I could get my life back. But it wasn't like that. Then I had a CNA license. They wanted me to get an expungement by a certain time, and they would give me my CNA license back. But when I went to court, the judge said I had to be on summary probation at least for 18 months before even considering. So that fell through. So I just wrote it out, looking for a job, couldn't find a job. Actually made me a better parent. And I stayed at home with my kids. And it made my kids really good at reading. I have a set of twins that's 8. They got skipped. They're in the 3rd grade and they just turned 8. I have a reading genius. She reads on the 6th grade level. My son, he math, and he good in his math. He about on the 5th grade level. So it helped me to really base myself as a parent. Because prior to the job that I had, I worked 6 days a week. My mama in daycare was the parent. I was just a provider. So when I look at it, it actually helped me be a better parent. That's what it did do. So I finally found me a job. I worked with Visiting Angels. Finally found the job after 2 years. Worked with them for 8 months. And then the state of California came with home health background. And that stopped me. They took me off my job last year, February 28th. They said it would be 75 days to go through the clearance. Not like that, y'all, but them people are so unorganized. It took 8 months for me to hear from anyone, and this is my 2nd appeal to the people because they have gave me 6 reasons why I can't be cleared, and I don't understand. So
let me stop you there. So your criminal case, what's the status of your criminal conviction and any probation you're on?
I had early dismissal of my probation, and I got an expungement.
Okay. And you said you were working at Visiting Angels. What did you do there?
They called a care attendant.
Okay.
Take care of the elderly. Some I took to get haircuts. I helped clean their house, their bathroom, wash their clothes, help them with their dinner, be some of their companions, like I would do in a nursing home, just in their home.
Okay. Did you enjoy that job?
Yes, I made Employee of the Month, 2nd month I was there.
Okay. And what is it that you want? So you want to get your license reinstated here today?
That's my whole purpose of being here.
Okay.
It's really hard. I'm going to say it like this. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
I can't hear.
And I knew that. I said, I'm going to say it like this. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Okay.
I should listen to my intuition in me. And I didn't. And who suffered? I could have caused whoever the person's stuff it belonged to, who said they want that last money in their checking account. I don't know that. But it caused me and my kids. I'm on government assistance. It's hard.
Okay. There's costs associated with your recovery of $1,234. It looks like you're on public assistance right now. Okay. Are you requesting that the board reduce or eliminate that?
I don't, if y'all will, but I don't have a job to even do so. And now I'm on the Medi-Cal list that I can't work, but I'm working with a lady named Granda, and she was, they give you the wrong directions too. They suspended me for a year. I called last year, August. They gave me the wrong information. They said I had to have some type of nursing license in my hand to even move forward. When I spoke to them people this week, they said, no, in Bria, you can move 90 days before your expiration date. Okay. And I was given all the wrong information. But a lady is helping me to move forward with the reinstatement on Medi-Cal. She was sending me the address. She told me just write a note and mail it in, and then I'll move forward. She'll send more information to me after she received the letter, and she give it to whoever she needs to give it to, that I can go get a job and work through Medi-Cal, because...
All right, okay, hold on. So your goal, if you get your license back, is to go back to work as an LVN?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that as a general part of the probation, you're not normally allowed to do home health care? Would you be willing to work in a more traditional facility?
Would you say a nursing home?
Yes, or a hospital.
Well, that's what, I never really did home care.
Okay.
Only way I did home care because I didn't have no LVN license. That's all I ever worked, even being a CNA, is in the convalescent home.
Okay.
That's all I ever worked, was the nursing home.
Okay. And since your arrest and conviction for the check fraud, have you had any contact with law enforcement?
No.
Okay. All right. At this point, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm looking, we've talked about the check fraud. but
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing that in 2002, you also had a DUI,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was for alcohol or drugs?
No, alcohol.
Alcohol. Because of the DUI, this is why I ask, do you believe that you have or have ever had a problem with alcohol? Or
No.
abused alcohol?
No. I'm gonna tell you the story. I made a deal with my cousin. You come from LA County, come to Moreno Valley. We go to the club and I'll follow you back home.
Okay,
We
slow-
went to
slow-
after
slow
party.
down, slow down.
Oh,
'cause
I'm
she's
sorry.
trying to tape down everything you're saying, and
Oh,
you're talking
I'm
so
sorry,
fast.
y'all.
So try to slow it down, if you
Okay.
please.
I
if
said, I
you
made
can.
a deal with my cousin that she come with me, come from LA County, come to Moreno Valley with me and go to the club. I'll go back to LA County with her. We is driving on freeway. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Me being young, the guy said I was doing about 90. And I got pulled over. And I got a DUI, but I don't have no alcohol problem.
Okay.
I'm just, honestly, back then I smoked a lot of marijuana. When you sit in them classes, you really out of touch if you're not an alcoholic and you smoke marijuana. Because, I mean, I'm not an alcoholic.
Do you still use marijuana?
No, I got tricked on that too. When you get your LVN license, you think everybody's gonna drug test you. So I went cold turkey. And it just don't work. I smoke cigarettes though.
Do you still use alcohol?
Every blue moon, yeah, but I smoke cigarettes every day.
Okay. And I also noticed just in your petition for reinstatement, you don't have to give your personal health information, but you did list that you have carpal tunnel in your right hand and a right shoulder injury.
Yes.
So what I'm wondering is, are you able to work as an LVN? Do you think you would be able to perform the duties of a VN with your injury?
Yes, I would. Because being a charge nurse, you're there to help. If a CNA asks you for help, of course you're going to help lift. You're going to help pull, but it's not an ongoing thing.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, that's all.
Any other board member questions? All right, Mr. DeBronstein.
You mentioned being employee of the month, the second month you were working for the one agency. Is that the same thing as the HLP Most Improved Nurse in 2011?
Oh,
Or
no,
those separate?
that's a separate job. That was being LVN. I was an LVN taking care of one client for like almost 3 years.
At HLP?
Yes,
Okay.
health professional.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Any other member questions? Ms. Norton?
So you said that you surrendered your license because it was hard to find a job with a probationary status. Right. You said that you surrendered your license because it was hard to find a job with the probationary status. Did I hear that correctly?
That, but just stressful.
Microphone, please.
Oh, that too, but just stressful. I just gave up. It's so much time you could just beat yourself up and keep crying about it. I'm surprised today I'm crying, but I just gave up. If this is what I have to do, You can have my license, and I'll just wait my turn to do everything I need to do. So when I do come to you guys, I'm following the law. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And just give myself some time to think. This is stressful.
So I totally understand, and I commend you for doing what you did. However, I'm not sure that you understand that by coming before us now, it is likely that if we were to issue you your license back, there would be probationary terms attached to it now that you don't get. It's not usual for us to return a license with no probationary status, so that stress may come back again. Are you able to handle looking for a job as an LVN with a probationary license?
I think I have a better chance, because now when people look at my background, and I even found the job, this lady told me, well, Bria, because you have a background, we can hire you. When they look at my background now, it's going to say that it's expunged or it's going to be dismissed. They're going to see that I did everything I was supposed to do to get my name clear. So it's going to be a better chance, instead of people turning you down on the internet, that actually ask you to come in, at least give you a chance to talk to you and meet you. So I think I have a better chance now of getting a job where you can actually meet people instead of them running your social in your name, and before they even call you, you're not getting no job.
Okay. And your desire is to go back into the nursing homes?
Yeah, wherever my nurse will lead me. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board member questions? All right, go ahead, Mr. Vertito.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Embry,
Yes.
you're making some good statements and showing some good progress. The thing I have to ask is, as a nurse, integrity and your skills are the two things that you offer to any employer. Given the past conditions of the check, burglary and such, how do I know that you would be safe around patients when they're most vulnerable?
Because since the situation, my first job that I did land after all of these things was visiting angels. You don't have to be licensed. It was a private company. They ran a background check. They didn't even ask for all my information, but I offered it up. I'm there in these clients' home. I'm around their belongings. I'm in their car. I was trustworthy. I feel that I'm trustworthy. And the thing that happened, I never stole from anyone, took from just anyone and went in and took anything from anybody. I didn't do that. But I feel that I earned it. If there was any issue, somebody would have, to me, I wouldn't have got an Employee of the Month. They wouldn't have trusted me looking at my background, and when I gave them the documents about me, trust me to go into these elderly people's homes. Because everybody don't have children and grandbabies walking around. It's just you and that elderly person there. So they don't have nobody there to either watch them or watch me. I'm there just on the trust. I feel that I'm trustworthy. I know that this is a bad situation that I caused myself. Yes, I did. But me holding a job and being still with people without having a supervisor or be around a lot of people, and you just sitting on somebody's home, and I did good there, I know that I'm trustworthy. And I know that I feel that I can be trusted.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other board member questions? Seeing none. Mr. Paredes, did you have anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. McKenzie, did you have anything else? I'm sorry, Ms. Medlock, anything else?
I just appreciate you guys. Sorry for crying in the beginning, but y'all have a good day, and I thank y'all. Did y'all hear me?
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, we did hear you. We heard you. All right, then this case is submitted. You'll be getting a written decision in the mail. And
Yes,
Ms. Medlock,
ma'am.
if you could just talk to the court reporter right before, with your information. Okay, we're off the record. And we're going to take a lunch break. When do we come back? 1:30? We're taking a lunch break. We'll be back at 1:30, and then we have another case. It's Mr. Dage at 1:30. All right? Oh, thank you. Not used to that. All right, why don't we go on the record? The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of license of Timothy David Dage before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. This hearing is being held on February 9, 2017 in San Diego, California. A full quorum of the board is present. I'm Administrative Law Judge Teresa Burrell. I work for the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I will be presiding over this hearing. Why don't we have appearances first for the Attorney General's office?
Your Honor, Laudo A. Paredes with the Attorney General's office.
And petitioner, would you state your name?
Timothy Dage.
All right, Mr. Paredes, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Short summation. Petitioner was originally licensed in 2002. His license was subsequently revoked based on two factors. The first was an accusation that was filed in 2007. Respondent was then placed on probation for 3 years via stipulated settlement. In 2009, a petition to revoke probation was filed, and subsequently his license was revoked. There are some serious charges, although they are older. In 2007, there was charges of stealing Vicodin, and also concerning is the petition to revoke had a number of serious issues. Basically, there was no compliance with the probation. All of the steps that it needed to do, such as quarterly reports, putting in a notice, all of the necessary steps that needed to be done were not done for all intents. So respondent has come before the board previously, and this is his second time before the board. At this time, we would ask that the petition labeled A through F be entered into the record.
Okay. I'm going to mark for identification the following exhibits. Exhibit A is the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Exhibit B is the license certification. C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. D is the 2014 board decision. E is the 2010 board decision, and F is the 2007 board decision. Mr. Dage, do you have any objections to us receiving exhibits 1 through F? A through F, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, exhibits A through F are received. Anything else, Mr. Paredes?
Subject to cross-examination, no, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Dage, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give today will be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down, Mr. Dage. What would you like the board to know?
First of all, good afternoon, board members and Your Honor. I appreciate the time that I've been given today to be able to have a chance to try to reinstate my license. I do have another letter of reference I want to add to the other ones I've given you guys. I can give it to you when you guys are ready for it. I have like 12 of them made. But I just would like to have this opportunity today to be able to reinstate my license and be able to have or be told what I can do to make that possible for the future, so I can provide for my family like I have done in the past.
Is there anything you'd like to tell anything else you'd like to tell the board?
I'm just very apologetic for everything that I've done in the past, hurting the ones I have along the way, especially my family and the coworkers I worked with and the patients I may have caused harm to, but mostly my family. And just to be sorry to you guys to have somebody that has done what I've done, but to be able to show that I proved upon that.
Now, why don't you bring up the documents that you had? Is it one letter?
It's just one. Yeah.
Okay. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm marking as Exhibit G a single-page reference letter from Mary Whitshire. And I note for the record that Mr. Dage gave the Deputy Attorney General a copy as well.
And no objection, Your Honor.
All right, hearing no objection, Exhibit G is received. And we had talked with respect to some of the other petitioners. There was some identifying information on some of their documents. Before this Exhibit G becomes part of the public record, I'm going to redact the personal identifying information such as address and the email address of petitioner.
Okay. Your Honor, the Section E, as an echo, is also labeled D, similar to one of the other previous packets.
Oh,
so
let me look at that. All right, so is it all right with you if I just change it to E instead of D on the top, on those pages, so it's not confusing?
Yes, Your Honor, I think that'll
All
make the
right,
record clearer.
So I'll do that with that document. That's Exhibit E. It has stickers at the top of each page that say D1 through whatever number it ends on, and I'll change it to E1 and fix that so that it's not confusing. Now, Mr. Dage, we have this letter now. Anything else you'd like to tell the board before I ask Mr. Paredes if he has questions?
No, not at this time.
All right, Mr. Paredes?
Sir, good afternoon. Thanks for waiting around.
Oh, yeah.
You had a drug problem.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I think back in like 1999, I had reconstructive ear surgery and multiple ear surgeries. And as a result, I was given pain medication just before I became a nurse. And then while working as a nurse, I still felt the urge to take Vicodin. And as a result, I stole for it.
Okay. And other than Vicodin, or were there any other over-the-counter prescription medications that, or over-the-counter or prescription medications that you were relying on?
No, just that.
Okay. Were you using at the time any street drugs, marijuana, anything like that?
No.
Okay. So your addiction and any alcohol issues?
No.
So it was the Vicodin addiction?
Just the Vicodin.
Okay. And that led you to steal. I don't want to get too much into that, but give me the general issue of what happened with that conviction, with that issue in 2007.
What made me do that?
Or what happened? What did you do specifically?
I was just finding myself looking to take Vicodin in any way I can, and so one patient I knew that was going home who hadn't had it, I took hers, and we signed it out as somebody else taking it. Okay. And pharmacy, when the patient goes home, they disregard the information in the computer, so I figured I could just take it, and that's what ultimately started all this.
Did you ever deny pen medication to a patient so that you could take it?
No.
Okay. You are not currently dependent on medication?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so what steps did you take? How did you get over that?
I went to a chemical drug rehab program. I put myself through that through Kaiser. It was called CDRP. I go to meetings. I have a good support group with my church, and also my wife is the biggest support group that I have. My kids, and knowing that that I had a problem and it actually tore apart everything that I've had, I know that that's a road that I did not want to go down. So I did everything I could to get back on track and see the signs and symptoms of when I want to use anything like that to refrain from it.
Do you have a sobriety date?
It's December 2002, December 10th, 2002.
And that's your sobriety date from prescription pills. So and since that time, you have not used any illegal street drugs?
No.
Okay. And do you drink alcohol?
No.
Okay. All right. Your license was, you didn't lose your license over the Vicodin. You were put on probation, is that correct?
That's right.
What happened while you were put on probation?
I was told to do a certain amount of things in a certain amount of time, and I didn't do it all in the time that the board asked me to do it. One of them was to perform 100 CEUs and pay a fine, which was like almost $7,000 at the time. I got it down to $4,000, and then I paid that off just a week or two before I came to the last meeting, which was in LA, and I paid that off just before coming there. I did some quarterly reports, but I worked at the prison, and nobody knew who my direct supervisor was. They were doing away with MTAs and trying to phase in state LVNs, but no one could decide who was going to be my direct person to file these quarterly reports. So I had to try to seek them, find someone who would help sign the quarterly reports for me.
Did you contact your did you have a probation monitor with the board?
Yeah, I think it's Jesus or Chewy.
Okay.
Ibarra.
And did you contact this person or tell them any issues that you had?
Yes, I told him I was going to be late on it. And then once he understood I was going to be late, but I sent it in when I could, or whoever I can find to sign it.
Okay. What did you do at the prison?
They were called a state nurse, and I had multiple functions, but I was a medication administration and the desk nurse, which did a lot of wounds and treatments. I responded to all the emergency codes that went on the yard, and then I also helped run the doctor's line.
Okay. And what have you been doing for employments over the last 7 years or so?
2 years ago, I started working. I couldn't work in the function anywhere in the medical field because my Social Security, I think, is linked to the Office of Attorney General and Department of Health and Safety, so I couldn't do anything as far as a janitor in the Medicare, Medi-Cal world, so I had to find some kind of work. So I went and became a prep cook for Rancho Murrieta Country Clubhouse.
Okay.
And I was a dishwasher, and I worked there for 2 years, and I quit about a month ago.
Okay. Did you have any formal performance evaluations or anything like that while at the country club?
No, they never did one.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay. If you are granted licensure, do you understand that your license may be probationary again?
Yes, I do.
Do you think do you foresee any problems with you following the instructions or the guidelines that you need to follow in the probationary, in your probation?
No.
What would you like to do if you're granted licensure?
Since I've been off in these 3 years, I went back to school and I got my, they call it a V&D degree, vocational nursing degree, which I'm 6 months away from getting my RN degree. So I'd like to maybe do that, but I couldn't move on to get my degree because I had a problem with my LVN degree, so my school wouldn't let me move on, so I had to stop.
Were you able to do clinicals?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just all theory and science, lab work.
So were you told by your school that they wouldn't let you do clinicals? Is that?
Yeah, that was their criteria. I was hoping that I'd get my license back when I was going to school. Because I didn't, I just went ahead and finished my AS degree there. And then I was hoping once I can get my LVN license back, I can attend the same school to finish up what I started.
Okay. And what school is that?
Carrington College.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the board?
On the side, I've been taking care of home care patients. I tried to start up my own business, and I wanted to run my own business for a long time, even have a care home. But I know that I have to have a license, and that also would stop me from moving on. So I had about 5 or 6 clients, and I was getting too busy, and I wanted to hire out. But since I can't obtain a license, I just stay with the 5 clients that I've had. And 3 of the 5 I've had for almost a year. And those are most of the references that you guys see. But I take care of people on the side. I was also doing it while working at Rancho Murrieta Country Club. And then my business got a little bit bigger than I wanted to at the time, so I had to give one up. So I gave up the dishwashing job at Rancho Murrieta.
Okay, what do you do for your patients, your clients that you work with?
One guy I do wound care. He's a quadriplegic. I get him up in a Hoyer lift, give him a shower, get him back in the Hoyer chair, and then back in the wheelchair. And get him dressed, of course, and then I do some meal prep for the whole day so he can just easily take care of himself while I'm gone. I do that 3 days a week, and then another guy I see, he also is in the kind of the same position, a younger guy, but he needs total care, so I do his showers 4 days a week. And another guy who's 92, I do bathing for him and then meal prep for a whole week because I only go to him 1 day a week, so I do meal prep in advance.
All right, and if you are granted licensure, what kind, would you like to continue with working with elderly dependent patients, or what would you like to do?
I'd like to work for the state of California again in the prison system, or go back to Kaiser where I used to work.
All right, at this time, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions from the board?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I heard you talking about an RN degree. Are you actually in a registered nurse program at Carrollton College?
Not their program. I was in their, it's in order to become, you have to become first an LVN, then you take their V&D program, then you take the RN program. It's all these baby steps. And I'm in the middle. I just finished the V&D program.
Okay, so you're not actually in an RN
No.
program anywhere. Then you were in, you went to rehab in 2002 to 2003 at CRP. I read in your packet that you haven't attended any meetings, rehabilitation meetings, AA, NA, that type of thing, since 2015. Is that correct?
Right. Well, I was off and on. I didn't know what to put. I went faithfully all the time, but since I was working for the restaurant business, I always worked the same days. I live in a rural area where they only have one AA group, 1 day, 1 hour a week, and it would happen to be when I'm at work. So then I kind of slowed down and go into that.
Okay.
But I always know where to go to get support, and if I ever felt a need to hit a meeting, I'd go to one. But
So
I
if you-
slowed it down, so I didn't know what to put there. It's a kind of a yes, no, but
Yeah. So you were before us once before,
Yes.
and we denied your reinstatement.
yes.
And what it actually said in the decision was that the board, and this is from 2014, the board concluded that the petitioner, that's you, had not demonstrated significant evidence of rehabilitation. The board noted petitioner's failure to comply with the conditions of his probation and appeared lackadaisical regarding his failure to comply. The board considered petitioner's failure to comply with all the conditions of probation as a demonstration of unprofessionalism, and that you failed to illustrate how you would avoid noncompliance in the future. So what has changed since 2014? What's different now?
To me, lackadaisical is just not doing the things you need to do in a timely manner that has to be done, and trying to run my own business and working a full-time job and having kids and grandkids. It's better to do things right off the bat instead of waiting. I mean, that was my deal was thinking I can get everything done for the boards. I have time. I'll do it. I have time. Well, I ran out of time, and that's why.
So I hear that you're very busy right now, too. You have your own business.
Right.
And you have the same family type commitments.
Right.
So you're also very busy now. So if we were to put you on probation again, how would you be able to comply with all those quarterly reports and everything you have to do while being so busy?
Well, a quarterly report isn't as often as and painful as it probably could be. It's only, 4 times a year. So finding someone, I just need to find out who would be my boss and develop a rapport so they would know that that would need to be done. And then just make sure if they're not on it to have me sign it, that I find them to sign it and not get behind on it.
Okay.
Not let it get spiral out of control.
And then I just have one more question. It's actually about your business.
Sure.
What's the name of your business?
Deja Vu Home Care. It's
And-
my last name, Deja, yeah.
And then I hear you saying things like you're doing wound care and things such as that. Are you a CNA?
Yeah, CNA and home health aid and LV, yeah.
So that's the certificate you're under when providing
No,
this
I
type
don't
of
hold a
care.
license at all. It's just experience, and I do it under the guidance of an RN, Mary Wilshire. When she's there, I do assist her with it.
So you're not currently a CNA or home health?
No.
Okay.
I can't hold that license with DHS.
Right. So it's basically like personal care attendant
Exactly.
type thing?
Yes.
And you're supervised by a registered nurse?
Right.
Who's employed by you?
No. She comes in on the side. She works for National. And we meet at the same time, so when I have the patient out of the shower and on his side, she comes in and does the wounds.
Oh,
So we have like a routine.
Thank you.
Any other board questions? Ms. Norton?
can you explain to me what a V&D program is?
It's called the Vocational Nursing Degree Program, and you have to have that just before you go into the RN program, and it gives you your AS degree.
And do you have a business license to run your business?
No, I was going to try to apply it, but when I looked online to see how to do it, I know I'd run through some red tape because of my background. I don't think I'd be allowed to do it. It had to go through the DHS, so I stopped.
So that's confusing to me because you're saying that you have a business, but you don't have a license to have a business.
Well, it's like a side job. I wanted to have a business, but I couldn't get the business license number because I know that I have to go through DHS.
Do you portray yourself as having a business to your clients?
No, because I don't have a license number on my card. I mostly have a website so they can learn about me on that. So, because instead of going through on the phone or in person about everything that I've done with my past and experience and what I can do to help their loved one, I just have them go to my website so they can learn more about me. And that's what's on the card. I don't say I'm a business. I don't pay taxes or stuff like that. It's just, side work.
How do you get the clients?
I go on an app. I have a care.com and CareLinks. There's two of the places that I go to, and then word of mouth.
I noticed on your petition that there were a few areas that you just didn't answer. Like, you left blank why your license was revoked.
I can't really hear you.
Oh, sorry. You left blank why your license was revoked. On page, you didn't answer question number 6. You didn't answer question number 10 on your petition for reinstatement.
What section's that?
Can you explain that? That would be on your petition for reinstatement. Let me find it.
Is that A6, page 6? Let's see. No.
So if you look on page A1, it says, please provide a detailed explanation of the reason why your license was revoked. You didn't answer that question at all.
Oh, A1?
A1.
I don't know. I don't know why I left that blank. Have you?
Okay.
No. It's because I said no there. I don't know if I'm looking at the same. Is it page 1, A1, right?
It says A1 is the first page. So
Right.
it says, right underneath, will you be represented by an attorney? The next bullet,
no.
number 3, it says, please provide a detailed explanation of the reason why your license was revoked.
Oh, I just left that blank. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then you didn't answer question number 6. Since the date of your revocation, are you subject to an order?
I don't think I saw that.
Okay. You didn't answer question number 10. Which?
I have taken the class, but it was a wound class just to further my education in that department. And my wife that's sitting behind me was actually going to a class, the wound care class, and I went with her and also was interested in learning more wounds since I have that quadriplegic patient that has massive wounds. So I was trying to further my education in that department.
Okay. So it appears that because the reason that you were denied your reinstatement the last time was because of what was then referred to as a lackadaisical attitude, and now you have a petition for reinstatement here that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there's pieces that you filled out and pieces that you haven't filled out. So can you explain that?
I maybe just misread it. I thought I was just repeating what I already had done when I came here before. And I don't think I saw it.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other board member questions?
Yes, I just have one.
All right,
Mr.
Mr.
Gage,
Durkin.
you indicated your sobriety date is what?
December 10th, 2002.
And there was the issue of the Vicodin diversion when?
Somewhere in 2000, it was just before, it was like in August or November 2002.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Any other questions from board members?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I just want to make sure we're understanding. You have appeared before this board
That's right.
previously, quite recently. Help us understand or retell us what you've done since that appearance and now that would help us understand your commitment to working toward reinstatement.
One, I abide by all the laws and rules, haven't gotten in any trouble. Kept clean and sober the whole entire time. Haven't gotten any traffic violations at all. I've turned to a pastor, as a friend of mine that I went to high school with. He's our pastor for the last 3 years at the church that we go to. So I go to him regularly, and just having a job, responsibility, things to wake up to go to is reasons for me to focus on the things that are important, like that.
Anything else that you want us to know about?
Just to know, I just try to, when I wake up every day and I go to bed every night, to know what I did right, what I did wrong, what could I do better. And I think about that when I wake up, and then make every day a better day than from before. Learn upon everything that I've done in the past, and just make it better. You don't want to make the same mistakes twice, and constantly try to help people along the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more board member questions?
I do, actually.
Go ahead.
My other board members had asked questions, and now I've become confused. So I'm hoping you can clear this up for me. You went to rehab 2002 to 2003.
Right.
Your sobriety date is December 2002.
Right.
But you were diverting Vicodin 2003 to 2004.
Yeah, I don't know about those dates. I saw that too. I don't understand how that could be later. Because I was investigated and I was talked to, and on 2002. And when I went into CDRP, it happened to be on my daughter's birthday. So that's how I remember the date. I don't know where the later stuff's coming.
Yeah, because in the original accusation against you, the statement of issues, which in our packet is F15, it says that between September 14th, 2003 and December 2nd, 2004, while on duty as a licensed vocational nurse at Kaiser Permanente South Sacramento, respondent committed the following acts, and then it goes into the Vicodin, the diverting the Vicodin. So you're not sure.
I don't know why the dates are off like that. I just know that my sobriety date is, and when this all took down, because it's a date I will never forget, but I don't know why it's mixed up like that.
And then when you were on probation, so you stipulated to the probation, you had a settlement, right?
Right.
You settled for the probation. Not only, it was revoked not only because you didn't comply with the reports and things like that, but there was also, it also states in the records that you were disciplined for unprofessional conduct at Mule Creek State Prison in November 2008. What's that about?
Well, I turned my license in back when, in 2002, I tried to surrender. I called the boards up, and they said to wait for you guys to contact me. And it had gone like 6 years before anyone contacted me. While working as a nurse at Mule Creek Prison, there was a difficult inmate who was taking Coumadin and cheeking it, or he was hiding it. And I think he was trying to build a case up so he can show low levels and then get given more, so then he can overdose and he'll have a case. He's been known to be called the $1 Million Man because that's what he caused the state of California is that much money so far with his behaviors. And I caught him on it. When I did, he got mad and went over the counter to try to get me. And the yard went down. And so when it happened, I was called into they call it a DON, but I mean a SRN2, but it's the DON office. And she says, well, you know, I have to report this to the boards. And I said, all right, go ahead.
So what did you do did they allege you did that was unprofessional? Because you said he came across and hit you, but what was your part?
Yeah, me catching him in the act of doing it, I called him a liar and said that he said he didn't do it. And I said, yeah, it's in your hand. And he wouldn't give up the medication. So when I asked the CO to do it, he undid his hand. There was a pill. I was like, oh, see, there you go. And he goes, you, and he went and come after me over the double doors, the double Dutch doors.
The action or the behavior that they alleged was unprofessional was you catching him. That was what was unprofessional.
Yeah, and Colin, I said that he was lying and all that. He didn't like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Predis, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Dage, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just once again want to say thank you guys for listening to my side of the story again. I really try to obey by the laws and everything I need to do to come to this point in my life, and I really like to have a second chance to have my license reinstated. It means a lot to me. It's all I know. It's all I've done for 20-something years. I think I can do a better job around, help another person if I can along the way. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for listening.
Okay, so the petition is submitted. You'll be getting a decision in the mail. And you need to get a form from the court reporter. Give her some information so she can give you some information about how to get a record of the proceedings. So we're off the record. Do you want to go? Yeah.
Okay, at this time, all the disciplinary hearings are complete. That takes us to agenda item number 16, closed session. The meeting will now adjourn to closed session pursuant to Government Code 11126C3 to deliberate and vote on the above matters that we discussed today and any other disciplinary actions. Could I please have everyone who's not authorized to remain in closed session, please leave the room so we can begin deliberations.